Shut the hell up.
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
All those things are true, and also I'm great. Corey LaJoy, thanks for checking in. Welcome in. Ladies and gentlemen, the Rob Brown Show's on the radio. It's the Fan Upstate, the foremost electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment you're going to find anywhere. This damn early in the morning starts now. Welcome. Great to have you. Happy Thursday, my dudes, my dudettes, my amigos.
I love the
my
hesitation
amigas.
there as you tried to figure out what day it was.
I genuinely was. It has been a weird.
We started out on Tuesday. It throws things off.
Well, we started off. We didn't just start off on Tuesday, but we started off on Tuesday. I was out last Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for bereavement leave. So I had 6 days off. But then I came back on Tuesday. My whole world's in chaos and just spinning through the void at this point. That's all there is to it. It's just 100% making it up as I go today. In fairness, I'm making it up as I go most days. And that's okay.
No, this is a very organized and well-oiled machine. We know exactly what we're doing at all times.
That's a good promo you put together there that aired right before we came on. Shout out to Bo Bond.
I've won many awards.
I've been told. I've heard.
Not by me because I'm humble.
Well, yeah. As humble as handsome and talented.
Hey, I say hi to me every morning when I pull up into the parking lot. That's all I'm saying. I really do that, by the way. I say hi.
You say hi to you?
I say hi me. Yes, I do.
To your giant head?
I do. I do. Not everyone can say that they.
That's also true.
I mean,
it's also true.
It's probably not a big deal to the rest of the people in the building, but to me,
for those of you that are going, what the hell are the boys talking about this AM? The answer is that a couple of months ago, Zoe and I were sitting here doing the show, and this guy pops up on a big bucket truck thing, whatever that's like officially called, next to the window here in the studio, and he's putting something on the wall. And we go outside, and it's a big vinyl window cover. On one side of the window is the gigantic heads of Cole Bryan and Kerosene, and on the other side,
it's a fire picture, by the way.
It is a great picture. And on the other side is me and the great one Lonzo, just our big heads on the side of the building. Zoe, I remember very distinctly walking outside while the show was active still to take a picture of that when it was done, and I put it up on the social media. And the wife texted me on the spot, and she's like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yeah, why? Why? This is awesome." And she goes, "No, I know that." She goes, "You're already insufferable, and now the building put a big picture of you." I'm like, "Yeah, well, they put up a big picture of everybody else on the air too." And she said, "Right, but you only care about the big picture of you." And I went, "That's
wait.
True. That's true.
What's wrong with that? I mean,
nothing.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing at all. I don't. Like what?
I would have loved for a few other people to get their pictures up there. So I mean, you know,
I'd love for more pictures of us up there.
Well, that too.
Okay.
That too.
We got a show lined up for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a million things that we got to get to. I am going to just keep it a buck with you. I'm real bleeping excited about Team USA v Team Canada tonight in the Four Nations final, the Four Nations face-off finals. I'm excited. I'm excited in a way that I genuinely don't think I've been excited about an individual game in a very long time. In fact, I started this morning. Well, not started it. Because when I started this morning, I went, I slept 2 hours last night. We're going to have to pull it together today, Rob Brown. Lonzo says hi to himself on the big giant. I look in the mirror and I'm like, come on, jackass. You wanted this.
Yeah.
You wanted this.
I already knew that because you, in the Sports Flash, you put the San Diego Chargers. And it's like, yep.
It's one thing to say it incorrect still. It's another thing to.
It's like, what is he doing? And the sad part, this is why proofreading.
Did I really type San Diego Chargers?
You absolutely did. This is why proofreading is good,
yeah.
And why I have to do it daily.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Because you journalism degree and all that stuff. You want to write the thing, that's fine. But sometimes you can, again, I can gauge how much sleep you've had by typos and stuff like that.
For the record, the story was good. Interesting. San Diego Chargers that
No.
are not that.
No.
I know. I did that one on purpose.
Okay. I can't see your face.
I did that one
so-
for comedy's sake. The LA Chargers have been named as one of the two teams that will be playing down in Sao Paulo, Brasilia this year. That's not necessarily the interesting part. We're going to be doing games down in Sao Paulo many times moving forward. That's not really the interesting thing. The interesting thing is that the LA Chargers have now played a game in Sydney, Australia. They played a game in London, England. They've played a game in Munich, Deutschland. I don't know why Germans yell in my head, but they do.
Because they do. They yell. Yeah.
They played a game in, well, obviously Los Angeles, California, and a lot of other cities here in these great United States of America.
Not San Diego lately, though.
Not lately. They have played a game in San Diego.
It's
just a long time ago.
Really long time.
Really long time ago. And now in playing in Sao Paulo,
At least you
Brasilia.
didn't call them the St. Louis Rams.
Oof.
Which
Well,
would
if
be
I
a
dubbed
totally
it the wrong
different
team, so
yeah.
that if I did that,
Or the Raiders, if you still call them the Oakland Raiders.
it's hard. That's actually, I don't know why. It has been easier to transition
To
Oakland
Vegas.
to Vegas than it has been the Bolts to Los Angeles.
Trying to think of what
San
other
Diego Chargers just works better.
what other NFL teams have moved. I think that's about it.
Yeah, St.
unless
Louis,
you
LA.
count Art Modell, loser.
I
taking
don't.
Cleveland
I was-
away in the middle of the night to Baltimore.
'Twas not a person yet, so I do not. Anyway, they play a
Dude
game in
drove
Sao Paulo.
500 miles to pee on his grave. I will never forget that.
I got to tell you, you got a legacy. If somebody is willing to not just pee on your grave, but is willing to burn 2 tanks of gas to do it, that's a legacy.
I'm
So-
guessing he drove a truck. It probably cost more than 2 tanks, probably like 3.
I absolutely think driving 500 miles to pee on a grave is the thing that is done by a guy who drives a big pickup truck.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody's ever done that in a Volvo.
right.
You know what I mean? Nobody's ever been like, honey, fire up the Sonata. I got to go pee on Art's grave. He earned it.
I think you could have been driving like a Saturn or something. I don't know.
Harvey Updike was 100% driving a pickup truck when he poisoned the trees, right? We all know that. All right, so the Chargers are going to play a game in Sao Paulo, Brasilia. They are one of the 2 teams. We don't know the other yet. That game is going to be on September 5th. The Chargers, when they play that game, will have played a game on 5 of the 7 continents. They have played in Australia. They have played a game in Tokyo, which is number 2. They've played a game, obviously, that's Asia. They played a game in Europe. They played a game in North America. Now they will have played a game in South America. They're in Antarctica away from the sweep. Actually, no, there's 7 continents. What am I missing? They've played Australia. They've played Asia. They played North America. They will play South America. They've played Europe. You can't play in Antarctica. There's no stadiums there. It's very cold. Lonzo, what continent am I missing? I feel like the biggest dumbass in the world right now. What am I missing?
Yeah, like I'm the geography guy here.
What am I missing?
A continent was you're yelling. I was trying to take care of other work that I haven't.
No,
got
this is
done
more
yet.
important.
Okay.
What's the continent I'm missing?
The poles are not continents, right?
Holy crap, I'm an idiot. What are the 7?
Did you mention North America?
I did.
Okay.
I did. North America,
Uh-huh.
Asia, Africa.
There we go. There we go.
And I mean
Hey,
this.
thanks to April on the stream.
Thank you,
for-
Miss April.
Yes.
I mean this. I've never felt dumber on the radio in my life. This is, I'm not kidding. I've never felt
Rob.
stupider than I do
Rob,
right now.
how many people in this building know all the continents, other than the people on Word, and not everybody on Word? I mean, come on.
I've never felt dumber because I know there were 100
Go over
people.
there and ask Tim how many continents there are. I mean, come on.
I know that there were at least 7 people driving down the road listening to the first hour of the show going, Africa, you moron!
And now they're singing that song.
Okay, that's enough. There's actually I have a long list of trivia about that song that I have no reason to have at all. Like the fact that the mountain referenced is not in Africa.
What, Kilimanjaro
Yeah.
is not in Africa?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It is in no, I guess it is. It is in East Africa. No, I actually think it's I want to say it's like in East Africa, but that portion of Africa is technically considered Southeastern Asia. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I feel like an idiot. We're moving on. Sports and stuff.
According to AI Overview, Mount Kilimanjaro is located in Tanzania in East Africa near the Kenyan border.
Well, there you go.
So it is in Africa.
There you go. Oh, I remember what it is. It's sure as Kilimanjaro rises like Olympus above the Serengeti, and it's like Olympus isn't in the Serengeti.
Right. But
they're using
Olympus
it as
is
a
a
reference. Yeah,
famous
got it.
mountain
Yeah,
that's
got it.
above
Yep,
that.
yep.
It's okay. It's all right.
Yep.
You
I'm
said
gonna
2 hours of sleep, right?
I'm gonna.
No one's noticing it all right now.
Hey, Rob Manfred said some words.
Who's he?
He's the commissioner of Major League Baseball, which is a thing that we
just-
talk about,
I
and
just-
not geography
I'm
lessons here on the
checking.
show.
Just checking. Just making sure that you're good.
God, dude,
Listen, in your defense,
there's no
we were handed something late before the show started that was going to put everything in disarray as far as personnel goes, and it's got everything scattered a little bit, and we just need to settle down because you had to get yourself in a frame of mind that you almost had to come over here, and I had to go somewhere else, and it's got the first segment a little scattered. That's all. You're good.
Let's go with that.
Now I got the scattered song from WWE in my head.
Okay, sports. We got a lot we got to get to. Spring training about to fire up. We talked a little bit about that yesterday because the ABS, the automatic balls and strikes, is going into play. Now, if you want to rehash that, we can.
No.
Not you. I wasn't talking to you. I know you don't. Lonzo's terrified of the Terminator over there. Terrified Arnold's coming through the portal and give me your clothes.
No, I'm okay with Arnold from T2, not Arnold from T1 or the Arnold.
You mean
Schwarzenegger player.
the prominent Terminator movie? The good one?
Yes, the best one.
The best one? Cubs Dodgers 3:05 today, spring training game number 1. Everybody else will fire, well, not everybody else, but most everybody else will fire up spring training tomorrow with the Rays, the Yankees, the Mariners, the Padres, the Rangers, the Royals, the Rockies, and the Diamondbacks all in the afternoon. The Atlanta Bravos will have spring training game coming up on Saturday at 1:05 p.m. when they take on the Minnesota Twins in their first spring training game. Coming up later on today, I would like to talk a little baseball. We don't have to. We can, but we don't have to talk automatic balls and strikes. I feel like we kind of ran that one into the ground yesterday. Maybe not. We'll see. We're gonna get by the time Saturday night rolls around, we will have a pretty good look-see at what ABS is going to look like at least in its spring training form, which is the form that I care about. So we'll get to that later on in the show. Eric texted the show. He said, no rehashing, Rob. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's fair because I don't know what else we can say to add to that conversation until we see it. I will say this. I'm going to watch a lot of spring training this weekend. And I watch a lot of spring training every year. I'm a baseball guy. What do you want? I'm going to watch a lot of spring training. This will be the first time in a long time. No, the first time ever. Definitively the first time ever. This will be the first time ever that I am picking and choosing the spring training games that I will watch, not because of the teams that are playing, not because of the teams that are involved, not because of who's on the bump, not because of who's in the DH spot, not because there's a new manager or there's a big name or somebody's back from Tommy John or whatever. All those things are true. All of those things are reasons to pick spring training games to watch, unless you're like me and you have like 7 TVs, in which case you just watch as many as you want. But if you got to pick one, all of those are good and valid reasons to pick. No, for the first time, I will be picking the spring training games that I am going to watch for one reason and one reason alone. And that one reason and one reason alone is going to be to watch the ABS play out. To watch it play out. Yesterday, they put up there was a video that went up. In fact, let me go find it on my old Twitter account. But there was a video that went up. Oh, goodness, where is it? of the. Actually, I lied to you. It was on Instagram. If you're following along, let me keep it a buck with you. It was on the gram. It's actually my my Instagram story right now. You're an IGer, follow me at the Rob Brown Show on Instagram. There was an ABS set up during a San Diego Padres practice.
It's pretty bulky looking, by the way. If it's the
It's
one
not what
saw.
I thought it was going to look. It is, though I will tell you, Zoe, from what I understand. And for those of you that are watching on the live stream right now, Facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. I'm actually just going to hold my phone up to the screen because that's easier than going through all the ridiculous steps to share my screen, which would look better, but I don't want to do it. This is what the ABS system that was used in the Padres practice looks like. Now, my understanding, great one after having some conversations with some folks in the know yesterday. This was out in Peoria, Arizona, where the Cactus League takes place, of which obviously the Padres are a member of. That little behind the catchers on stilt thing that they have right there, you can see it right there on the live stream. That box on a big, what do you call that? Stand, prop thing, whatever. You know what it looks like? It's a camera, a tripod. Africa's a continent. Kilimanjaro is in Africa, and that's called a tripod. I'm going to get through this day if it kills me, and it might. That big bulky box thing, for real, I may be getting pink slipped at the end of this segment. That big bulky box thing, that is what the Hawkeye technology looks like. I've seen that before, but it's not going to be there for games, right? Like, that's not where it's going to be. There will be those sensors, but they'll be in various places all pointed at the plate so they get multiple references of where the ball is. It's not going to look like that. That was just a way to test it in a practice while Yu Darvish was taking hacks, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. They put it up on the screen. It's like, yeah, why would you be against this? Unless you're just afraid of sci-fi. We got to take a break. We're going to talk a little baseball during the show today. We got Lulu Kesson coming up at 8 o'clock to talk South Carolina women's basketball. We'll see if there's any updates on the football program. Rashad Beard at 8:40 to talk Carolina Panther football as they get ready for the draft. Hayden asked Mario at 9 o'clock to talk about a whole range of topics. And Fight Club at 9:20 for our professional wrestling segment of the week, all coming up on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I've never felt dumber on the radio. That's not an exaggeration.
You've looked dumber before. So
I didn't say I haven't looked dumber. I said I've never felt dumber. Big difference. Big difference. All right, be right back, guys. Entertain the people.
No, I'm not doing it now. You don't tell me what to do.
Hey, weekend warriors, how's a little trail therapy sound right now? Hop in. Let's go for a
No, seriously, someone was running late on another station, which meant that I was going to have to leave from here and go over there, run a show that I haven't run in like over a decade. While Rob would have to come around here, start the show, then that person would show up, then I'd come back. It was nearly a mess, and I think it's got him a little scattered. Unless it gets in his head, we're good. Then don't tell him, Moles. But if it gets in his head too much, I will. I'll have to make him angry, and anger brings focus. Kind of came, but no, she's here before anybody. She's here before anybody, and then she's here most of the day. She's like always here, dude. That lady works. Not only does she work, her podcast, her separate podcast, gets like 40,000 downloads or something like that. It's amazing.
Casino, Las Vegas's premium sports viewing destination. And visit the biggest March Hoops party at Stadium Swim. Good luck in this national contest. Listen to the Fan Upstate on the Odyssey app. Text or call one number.
Oh, daggone it.
6363. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is the Rod Brown Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rob Brown has just walked out of the building and he quit. He's just done. He's out of here.
When
Finish.
I said I've never felt dumber on the radio, I wasn't kidding. I joke a lot on the show. I have fun here. We have fun here. I've never felt dumber. That's the dumbest I've ever felt on the radio. And in fairness, it is 6:21 in the morning. And contrary to the job that I have elected to do, not talk on the radio, but Lonzo and I fought to get the morning drive. We fought to get here. We begged, we poked, we prodded. We actually punched a couple of people in the face. We threw the gloves to the ice.
They had it coming.
We
okay?
scrapped. Okay? We fought to do this. Despite all of that, I'm not a morning person. I'm not awake yet. All right? The early portion of the show, I feel like I get like a 20-minute grace period of sounding like a moron in the show. I get like a 20-minute grace period.
Let me do old man and radio thing here. That was so 5 minutes ago. Let's move forward.
Okay.
Let's do that. Let's
Okay.
get into some sports.
Let's get into some sports. The commissioner of Major League Baseball, Robert Julius Monfrere Manfred, had some comments last week, and then he followed them up with some comments this week. Last week, Robert Sinclair Monfrere Alfred Manfred went on a microphone, and he said, you know, guys, it seems like Major League Baseball fans are a little bit upset about the way that the Los Angeles Dodgers are spending money. And so that we're clear, he's not wrong. A lot of baseball fans are. And he said, hey, you know, we'll evaluate that. We'll take a look at that. Then Robert Christopher Roberto Manfred came out earlier this week, and he kind of walked that back a little bit. Rob Manfred came back onto a microphone this week and said, disparity, good word, Robert, disparity should be, it certainly is, at the top of my list of concerns about what's occurring in the sport. When I say I can't be critical of the Dodgers, they're doing what the system allows. If I'm going to be critical of somebody, it's not going to be the Dodgers. It's going to be the system, end quote. Now, I've given Robert Manfred a lot of crap for his role as the commissioner of Major League Baseball. I've come after Rob Manfred a lot. But I will also say this. I don't think Rob Manfred is the worst commissioner in professional American sports. Not by a long stretch. There is one commissioner that every time his name gets brought up, I do the old circus song that they do on the Calliope.
Best commissioner in sports. Commissioner of the sport that makes the most money and is the most successful, but still you don't like him.
You know why? And this is true.
You're one of those people at the draft who would boo for no reason. You have no reason why you're booing this man. He does an amazing job. He does a thankless job.
I'd like to congratulate you. I didn't know that the NFL was making you money, buddy.
No, I
was unaware.
I've been talking about him being the best commissioner forever because there's a lot of people who hate this guy and they can't really tell me why.
I got a lot of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll put Raj on the back burner. We can come
how
back
many
to
years
Raj.
we've been together? I still don't know your reasons.
I've given you plenty of reasons. You don't agree with my reasons. We'll put that on the back burner. We'll come back to Raj later. We're talking about Rob. Raj can come around later. Rob Manfred said later later after his comments initially, where he said we'll keep an eye on this or whatever. He walked back around and he said, I'm not going to critique the Dodgers. I'm going to critique the system. And I'll tell you this. I'll take it. I'm okay, good. Because here's the reality. Everything the Dodgers are doing is not just within the rules of Major League Baseball, But everything that the Dodgers are doing, every other team can do as well. Now, I'm not saying that they should do it. The Dodgers are going to be paying Shohei. You know how we celebrate every year Darryl Strawberry Day? Because the Mets got to hand a check to Darryl Strawberry for like $40 million a year every year until the sun engulfs the planet. That's deferred money, which is exactly what they did with Shohei Ohtani. They're paying Shohei Ohtani $17 and a couple of boxes of sunflower seeds a year. But when Shohei Ohtani retires in 2079, they're going to have to pay that guy tens of millions of dollars every year for work that he did a very long time ago. Now, let me be real clear about this. It ain't my money. So I don't know how mad I can get about it. It ain't my money. And on top of that, you know, I've tried to explain the difference between $1 million and $1 billion so many times that I have it memorized now. If you take 1 million seconds and you compare it to 1 billion seconds, you know what the difference is? 1 million seconds is 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 31 years, not 31 days, not 31 months, 31 years. That's the difference. The difference between, I'll put it this way. If you work in radio and you're broke, and then next to you is a millionaire, and then next to him is a billionaire, you are exponentially closer in net value to the millionaire than the billionaire. So when these billionaire owners, like those of the LA Dodgers, decide that they want to pay an athlete, you know, $900 million, and they're going to defer it over 60 years, it ain't my money. Now, I could be upset as a fan of the team because in that case, you could make the argument that that team is going to create a world where in a decade, they're not going to have the money to be good then. But the Dodgers have obviously decided, their ownership has obviously decided that they're going to sell the farm now. They're going to mortgage the future in order to put together maybe the best baseball roster ever assembled in the history of the sport now. The Dodgers are like plus 250 to win the World Series. The Dodgers have only slightly longer odds to win the World Series than the Braves have to win the division this year. They have, if I recall correctly, top of my head, and I'm not looking it up because I'm lazy, the Dodgers have roughly the same odds to win the World Series as the Mets have. You know, the team that just signed Juan Soto to a nearly $1 billion contract. They have the same odds to win the World Series the Dodgers do that the Mets do to win the NL East, a 5-team division. That's stupid. It's that much talent. Again, not my money. If you're a Dodgers fan, maybe you're good with it because you put together the best baseball roster of all time. Maybe you look at it and you go, yeah, I hope we win 4, 5, 6, 7 of them in a row now. Because in 10 years, we ain't going to have that unless the owners just don't care about money. We'll find out. Anyway, back to Rob Manfred. Manfred said, I'm going to look at the system, and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. But here's what I'd say to Rob Manfred. If you're going to evaluate the system, a system that has allowed the LA Dodgers to put together a team that has more deferred money than the GDP of like 30 actual countries, I'm good with that. Let's look into it and let's see if that's actually good for baseball. I don't know if it is or isn't. And your definition of good for baseball is subjective. What I think is good for baseball is parity across the league, a regular season and a postseason that keeps me invested and entertained from opening day to World Series, fingers crossed, game number 7. If you're an owner of a baseball team, your definition of success, your definition of a successful baseball team is probably, your definition of a successful baseball season is probably, I made a buttload of money. Subjective of what a good baseball season is. But whether what the Dodgers are doing, whether what the Dodgers are doing is good for baseball or bad for baseball, it's up to you to decide. I will say this. While we could be wrong about it, And we'll find out. Opening day's a month away. Less than a month away now. Well, we could be wrong about it. This baseball season, and I'll feel differently when we get to April and May and we're kind of full tilt into the season and teams are kind of starting to shape up a little bit. This baseball season doesn't really feel like it has all the drama that I like in baseball. It kind of feels like the Dodgers winning the World Series is an inevitable result. And frankly, it kind of feels like the Dodgers beating the Yankees in the World Series is an inevitable result. And so I hope I'm wrong. I hope we have parity. I hope there's drama, all the things that make baseball great. I hope it's all there. But realistically speaking, I just kind of feel like we're going to get to June, July, and we're going to be like, okay, it's Dodgers, Yankees, and that's very clear and evident.
Wait, are you baseball panicking already?
No, because that's what I do about the Braves. I'm doing this about the league as a whole.
Is this the equivalent of going, yeah, it's going to be Alabama versus, somebody?
No, because I don't think in the best year, I don't think Alabama, in their best years, in their Saban heyday, I don't think Bama ever had a roster constructed that was so much better than everyone else in a way that I can draw a parallel to what the LA Dodgers are compared to everybody else. Now, baseball's weird. Baseball's postseason has Cinderellas every year. They got plucky underdogs every single year. Baseball's weird. There could be something. I hope there is. We'll find out. Here's what I would say to Rob Manfred. If you're going to look at the system, specifically the top of the system where the LA Dodgers are, I'm good with that. Do we want to maintain the rules and regulations as written as far as deferred money goes? Do we want to keep the rules and regulations as written as far as no salary cap, luxury tax, yada, yada, yada? Good. We should evaluate. I think that's something that every league should do all the time. But if you're going to look at the top of the league, I think you got to look at the bottom of the league too. I think you got to look at that. The fact that the Dodgers are spending more money than most third world countries are worth. But then over here, I got the Pittsburgh Pirates, who just about every time they find a good player in the draft, through the farm system, whatever, they make a trade for some young kid and he comes to Pittsburgh and he breaks out. Every time that happens, Pittsburgh lets them go. Pittsburgh doesn't come anywhere near the salary cap. Miami, actively, they won a World Series, and ever since, Miami consistently, actively gets rid of anybody who's worth a damn. It is very clear to me that the owners of the Pittsburgh Pirates and the owners of the Miami Marlins and a couple of other teams, it's not that they're bad. Because I can tolerate if a team's bad, but they're trying, and it's just hard to do. Looking at you, Chicago White Sox. What up, Jerry Reinsdorf? It's another thing when I look at a team, and I don't just assume, but I actually feel like I can make a good argument that the owners of that team, the management of that team, the front office of that team is actively trying to be bad. They are perfectly happy to sit back in their big-ass office, up in their deluxe apartment in the sky, and collect their revenue from their fans, collect their revenue from the TV contracts they sign, collect their revenue from the league, make a bunch of money. They don't care. That's got to be evaluated. The NFL has a salary floor. Did you know that? The NFL has, you have to spend this amount of money. You have to spend more than, you can't spend more than this, but you have to spend more than this. And if an NFL team checks in under the salary floor, the difference in those numbers, they have to distribute that to the players on the team. Hey, we're sorry we didn't go get more guys to be more competitive, so we're going to give you the money that we saved by not getting to the floor. We got to do something like that. The model's already there. It clearly works. Rob, I'm great with you evaluating the system, but if you're going to evaluate the top of the system where the Dodgers are, you better evaluate the bottom of the system where the Pirates and the Marlins are. Fix that, because to me, that might actually be more detrimental. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Jersey Joe, I have stood for the show every day this week, and I got to tell you, I kind of like it. I feel genuinely, I do. I feel more energetic. I feel more active. I feel better. I've also dropped 4 pounds so far this week. I'm not attributing it directly to that, but I can't not. You know what I mean? Like it's got something to do with it. Give me 45 seconds, guys.
And with that, I'm officially now caught up.
Yay! We had some mild chaos in the studios this morning. Dropped another LB yesterday.
I heard you talking about it when I walked in.
It's 4 this week. I'm not crediting it solely to standing up during the show, but I haven't really changed anything else.
You are shifting back and forth as you are doing now, which is the equivalent of cardio.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not extraneous cardio, but it's consistent for the entire 4
Keep
hours.
the heart rate up, baby.
American Legion Post 3 has been making Christmases bright through the Goodfellows food drive since the 1920s. Over 100 years.
This is organized in part by Scouts, Girl Scouts, Trail Life, Law Cadets, church groups, and family. They'll prepare and pack more than 750 boxes of foodstuff
50.
for local residents, organized to help the needy in the Greenville community have a good Christmas dinner.
All recipients are vetted by
5 to 6 miles a day. Atta boy, Zach. Here's what I will say, and people don't like it. Weight loss is 100% diet. It just is. It's 100% diet. You drop LBs with what you eat, not with what you do. What you do can help. You grow more muscle. Muscle burns. Muscle burns calories faster. But yes, just about anybody in the medical industry, they're going to tell you calorie deficit is what drops weight. Now, there are some people that have medical issues that may hamper that. But at the end of the day, calorie deficit is what causes you to, if you burn more than you eat, that's how you drop LBs.
Although you can't tell, I lost more weight than Rob did, like twice as much, and I totally disagree.
Yeah, but you don't eat poorly.
I don't. But that's the thing. I'm not eating poorly, and I still can't lose weight because I can't exercise, because I cannot walk. Although I'm starting to feel like maybe next week I'll be able to get back on it, and I will drop weight as soon as I walk, because I used to walk about 2 miles a day every morning before I came to work.
That was back in the before days when the sun was up when we got here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I could do it now, but
I don't want to.
My wife would hurt me, because even if I'm on the other side of the house, I walk heavy on the treadmill, and I said treadmill.
Yeah, you did.
On the treadmill.
I was
And
going to let you get away with it.
oh, no. I recognize when I do it.
Lonzo just put the Z in Clemson.
Dadgummit.
Join us on our live stream, facebook.com/The Fan Upstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube, The Fan Upstate on Twitter, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. We talk to the people, to the Armada during every break. We were talking about the fact that if you haven't been listening this week or haven't been checking in on the stream, I decided on Tuesday, my first day back after 6 days off, that I was going to, I wanted to, I don't want to say change up the show. I didn't want to change up the show, but I wanted to do something different. And it's not like a gigantic change, though some of you have said you've noticed it. I've started standing while I do the show all 4 hours. And I genuinely feel like I have more energy. I'm more alert. I'm more awake. I feel like I genuinely feel better while I'm doing the show. I feel better at the end of the show. And I've dropped a pound every day so far this week. And I can't say that is directly because I'm standing up, but as Lonzo pointed out, I am the human embodiment of ADHD. I'm twitchy. I move around. I rock back and forth. I step away from the mic. I step back into the mic. And I'm sure it's got something to do with it. But we got into the conversation about, how you drop the LBs, because our boy Zach is in the chat on the stream. And by the way, the chat function is enabled. Whatever platform you watch us on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. If you jump in the chat there, those chats come to our computer screen. We can interact. We do during the break. Zach said, I walk 5 to 6 miles a day and I don't drop a pound, to which I said, look, at the end of the day, dropping the LBs for the overwhelming majority of people is 100% about putting yourself in a calorie deficit. You got to burn more calories than you eat. Now, exercising helps. It's not because of the LBs that you burn while exercising. It's the fact that you are losing fat, you are adding muscle. Even if you're just walking, you're losing weight, you're adding muscle, and muscle obviously takes calories to engage, to operate. So the more muscle you have on you, the faster you burn those calories, the easier it is to drop weight, which is why somebody like Michael Phelps can eat a 6,000 calorie meal and still have a freaking six-pack like a Marvel superhero, right? Because he's just nothing but muscle. It burns every calorie he puts down. So we got into that conversation a little bit during the break there. And this goes back to what we were doing in segment number 1. Texter reminded me during the break that it is not Darryl Strawberry Day, it's Bobby Bonilla Day. And obviously, I made a joke. The Mets don't pay him $40 million a year. They pay him $2 million a year. And we only have, according to the texter, 10 more years to celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day. The point is, my brain sucks today. I hate it. It sucks. It's dumb. And we were kind of making the joke beforehand that Lonzo, in the before times when the sun was up when we got to the studio, Lonzo used to get up and he would walk a couple of miles on the, what piece of device did you, what piece of equipment did you say?
That would be a treadmill, Rob.
What did you, you had another name for it. What did you call it?
No, I actually just called it a treadmill.
Treadmill.
I'm not doing that again. You think you're going to get me to do that again?
Lonzo
That's
said
this whole setup was just for that.
The whole setup was to talk about something else, but you did say treadmill.
I did, and it wasn't on purpose.
That's why you got to come to the stream. So I
by the way, I've lived here over half my life. So if some of that creeps
it's seeping in.
I don't work with anybody who has a Southern accent, but it's certainly acceptable to the people listening right now, I'm sure.
When Zoe and I were in the 9 to noon time slot, I did get up and was active in the AM. Would walk a little bit or would go get a workout in, go get a lift in or whatever, which is when I dropped the most pounds. Before we moved here, I at one point was down from a handful of years ago. I was down at 207 at one point. For the wedding, got down to like 215. We were obviously in this time slot already. When we moved to this time slot, and this is how Rob's brain is dumb in the mornings point and nothing else. When we moved into this time slot, I told the wife, I was like, I got to leave the house to get to work around 4:15. I got to be out the door. That puts me here between like 4:20 and 4:40, somewhere in that ballpark. I said, but you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to get up at 3 on weekdays. I think I'm going to get up at 3 a.m. I think I'm going to start taking the dog for like a 1-2 mile walk. I go for we live in a circle. We live in a big circle. It's not like a cul-de-sac. It's like a big neighborhood circle. It's effectively a third of a mile around. So you walk the loop 3 times, you walk the mile. I was like, I get up, I'll walk it, 4 or 5 times, somewhere in between a mile and a couple of miles with the dog. The dog will come in, go back to bed, and then I'll go to the show. That lasted 0 days. It lasted 0. I never did. I have not done it one time. There has not been a day that I've gotten early. I tried. I set the alarm the first week. I was setting the alarm for like 2:30, 2:45. I'm like, I'll get up at 2:45, be out the door with the walking shoes on at 3. I'll walk like 3 to 3:45, come back in, take a shower, get dressed, go to work. That lasted 0 days. Have not done it once. So you want to know why I'm standing up, moving around? Because I'm a lazy piece of crap and I hate mornings. Anyway, thanks for tuning into the morning show here on the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great One Lonzo with you. As we roll through the show. So we've talked a little baseball so far this morning. Speaking of baseball, USC baseball, South Carolina baseball off to a 5-0 start with a home win over Queens out of North Carolina yesterday. 7-2 was your final in this one. Jackson Sousa gets the start, 3 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 Ks, through 3. He was picked up in relief by Ryder Carino, 1-0 as he is credited with the win. 3 innings, 1 hit, 5 Ks against 10 batters, 11 faced in the showing. Ashton Crowther took over 1.2 in relief, 2 earned runs, 0 hits, however, allowed. Did have 2 Ks. Parker Merlatt, Roman Kimball came in. Each of them faced a couple of, or recorded a couple of outs to finish off this game. It was a Nathan Hall, 4 of 5, 2 runs, and a ribby, no Ks on the day. I am genuinely very interested in what Palmineri is putting together with this Gamecock baseball team. On one hand, if we can just keep it a buck, they haven't really faced like best of the best yet. They just haven't. They opened with a 3-game set against Sacred Heart, 5-3 winners on Valentine's Day. Opening day, 14-0, 7-inning run rule win in Game 2 on Saturday. Sunday, they blank them 8-0 in a full 9-inning contest. 5-3 win over Winthrop, 7-2 over Queens. The Gamecocks are off until tomorrow night when they are back home to open up a 3-game set against Milwaukee. Group of fellas coming down from Milwaukee to play the Gamecocks. I'm interested in what this team is going to be because I do not believe in the games thus far. I don't believe we have had a starting pitcher that has really turned in an extended performance. You got 5 out of Dylan Eskew on opening day, and I believe every other game thus far has seen starting pitchers give about 3 innings worth of effort. Matt Becker go 5 in game number 2. But you haven't really seen anybody going deep into games at this point. Now it is opening. It is the early portion of the baseball season. And this is true of college baseball. It's true of MLB baseball. You're not going to see a lot of pitchers that are going to go deep in games early in the season. That is pro, that is college. Honestly, it should be high school. You're not going to see a lot of pitchers that are going to go deep early in the season for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't want to tax the boys early, right? Like you don't want to take too much gas out of the tank early. It's a long season. We're just getting started. We are still March, April, May, June. We're still 3.5 months away from getting to regionals with 4 games a week all the way there. Number 2 is you got to start seeing where guys are going to get banged up, where guys are going to get hurt, who's coming out of the starting rotation, who's going to have to step up and get more innings down the line. There's a lot to this. The point that I'm making here is, and I'm going to say this about the Atlanta Braves in a month and a couple of days when they get to opening day. I'm going to say this about the Gamecocks. I'm going to say it about Clemson. We'll talk to John Blau on Monday. And obviously, while we will continue to talk about Brad Brownell and his Tigers as they are making their march towards the March tournament, we'll start picking up some baseball to talk about what's going down there in Clemson as well under Eric Bakich. Early in the season, South Carolina's played 5 games. Clemson's played, 3 games so far. They're 2-1. Early in the season, you're not going to see guys going super deep. 5 innings is about the max you're going to get. And there is a reason for that. Because you're waiting for injuries to start stacking up as you get deeper into the season. You're waiting to see who's going to develop and is going to move up in the rotation, who's maybe going to not give you what you wanted, going to move back in the rotation. In college ball, who's going to become your weekday starter, who's going to become your Sunday starter. There's a lot of different things that have to be determined. I'll say this. The bats are good for South Carolina out of the gate. They're good. They're not electric. They're not great yet. But we're 5 games in. It takes time to find a rhythm and a routine. You can face as many batters in training camp as you want. There's no substitute for climbing into the box at Founders Park on a Tuesday evening, Wednesday evening, to face live pitching that's trying to actively beat you and make you look silly. I think it's going to pick up. I think it's a good offensive team. I'm just interested in seeing how the Gamecock pitching develops down the line. I'm interested in seeing what this rotation is going to look like when we're 2 or 3 weeks into the season. This is something that under Palmineri, LSU excelled at when he was there. It is something that he excelled at in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, was understanding how to maximize having great pitching. Now, LSU under Palmineri was a team that very rarely didn't have a stacked 1-9 lineup. He knows how to put some bats into the right spots in the 1 through 9. But Maneri's pitching at LSU, he was excellent as far as being able to manage his rotation, manage the talent on it, understand and get to a guy before they went on a heater or get to a guy and bump them back before they went on a cold streak. I'm kind of excited to see, after a couple of years out of the game, if Paul Mainieri, who is, respectfully, I don't think he's, I mean, I've heard him say it, so I don't think he's an older coach. He's an older guy. The older you get when you are coaching college kids, I don't necessarily think this is as true in the pros. The older you get when you coach college guys, the harder the job gets. And it's not just because the game changes and evolves. And I will say, college baseball, not really a subject to that as college basketball is, as college football is. The game of college baseball is very slow to evolve to a change. It is more about your ability to interact with, have relationships, have good communication with players. It's one thing for a guy like Bakich, who brings the Savannah Bananas down to Doug Kingsmore Stadium, who has his team go play an exhibition game against the Savannah Bananas and do it by banana ball rules. It's one thing to have you ever seen Eric Bakich? Did you see anybody watch the Clemson Tigers via the Savannah Bananas? Wildly entertaining. Sat home and watched it on YouTube. Wildly entertaining. And Bakich at one point is out there on the bump with his shirt off, dancing with the boys. Like they were all in. Bakich is jacked, by the way, like shredded. That's the type of guy who is so much closer in age range to the guys that are on that roster that the communication issues, you wouldn't think from the outside looking in. I can't say this with any level of definitiveness, but the communication issues, as far as being able to communicate with, understand a generation that is 1 or 2 generations before you, not the same as when you're in your early 70s trying to communicate with a 17, 18-year-old kid, trying to get him on the same page, trying to get him to understand. So I'm interested to see down the line after the Gamecocks eat an L or two, as every college baseball team's going to, after they eat an L or two, after there's a couple of injuries, and after he's got to start massaging the lineup, something that he was, again, very good at when he was the BMOC down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm interested to see the team's chemistry organically around Paul Mainieri a little bit later in the season. But 5-0 to start, got a run rule victory in game 2. You got a little bit of a challenge out of Winthrop on the road up in Rock Hill earlier this week. Good win over Queens last night at the crib. We'll see where this Gamecock baseball team develops moving forward. You know what else we'll see? We'll see what the biggest stories in sports are overnight, because it is time for Lonzo to educate, enlighten, inform, enthrall, and arouse you with this sports flash.
Yeah, everything except for that last thing. Because if that happens, you're weird.
What if I just really like sports?
Okay, well, maybe. The Charlotte Hornets defeated the LA Lakers last night, 100-97, led by Miles Bridges, 29, and LaMelo Ball's 27 points. Ball also had 6 assists and 5 boards, while Mark Williams' first game back from the negated trade to LA saw him put up 10 points and 9 boards. LeBron James went 10 of 22 for 26, but missed a game-tying 3 with seconds left to force overtime. In college basketball, number 4 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide was upset on the road by number 15 Missouri last night, 110-98. Mark Sears had 35 and the Bama bench added 30, but the Tide defense allowed Mizzou to shoot over 60% from the floor in the win. That means they scored more points. Tune in this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. as Furman Paladins take on the VMI Keydets. Furman versus VMI right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball, the Fan Upstate.
The bridge on Highway 31 over Peters Creek is being replaced. The road is closed. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan, Upstate.
Hey, Sean Hannity here to tell you about American-made windows of the Upstate. Now, they're a locally owned company. I'll let Don and Pam show you how to save money on one of the best investments you'll ever make for your home. High utility bills, rotting window sills, moisture between panes, rooms that are too hot or too cold to even sit in. That's all signs that you need new windows. So make sure to get yours from American-made windows of the Upstate. You can find them online at AmericanMadeWindowsUpstate.com. That's AmericanMadeWindowsUpstate.com. The best windows are American-made.
I'm Brian Tedesco, CEO of Wellfront America, the pioneers of the car stereo. Today, we're not just about sound systems. We are revolutionizing the e-bike scene with Blue Dot Bike. Thanks to AmericanEagle.com, our online presence now features a dynamic e-commerce website that showcases the quality and affordability of our foldable e-bikes. And our collegiate e-bikes, just perfect for the college fanatic. These e-bikes offer a new way to experience freedom on two wheels, no matter your age. When we needed a top-notch website to match our cutting-edge e-bikes, we turned to AmericanEagle.com. They made the impossible seem easy, tackling digital challenges like pros. Check out the Blue Dot Bike website to see AmericanEagle.com's amazing work in action. Need the best in website and digital marketing solutions? AmericanEagle.com is your go-to. They've been a game changer for us, and they can be for you too. Visit AmericanEagle.com or call.
Shut up, Kane.
Webnow 1-877-WebNow 1.
You're making me feel uncomfortable, man.
Another sports talk show. It's BetMGM Tonight, Monday through Friday from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM Tonight is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen.
You know, if you egg him on, he'll keep doing it, so stop it.
Alonzo's not wrong.
Real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. BetMGM Tonight, exclusively on the Fan. And on the Odyssey app. Wire to wire with Diesel and Gold Racing. Turn on, live on.
Tom in Somerville, you are on the air. What's up, Tom?
I'm going out to Overboard. I'm just in the Memphis, just going for a little weekend getaway.
Oh, a little Love Shack action. Okay, I hear you. And for those out there, a little self-promotion here, what app are you using to listen to us?
Oh, that's how you say it.
Well, I tried.
First time I ever.
I want to see this, I think, tomorrow night.
Yeah, I saw it last week.
Did you? Good?
Good, not great.
That's what I've heard.
Is missing.
I've heard it's popcorn flicky.
Well, it's missing humor. I mean, it has it. It doesn't have it in as many spots as a Marvel movie normally does.
I kind of wondered if there was going to be like a tone shift to the next phase.
You will pop in one part for sure. The thing is, it would have been hard for them to hide, but they should have hid the whole Red Hulk thing, because them not hiding that,
Yeah.
you hid the selling point of the movie. So. Wait, you just sat down.
Yeah, I know. I might be taking breaks.
Okay.
I'll stand during the show.
Yeah, because you'll
I
have
gotta
to.
say, today
You'll have to move everything.
Yeah, today
if
I
you,
felt it. I also started standing up at the house when I'm doing my like post show work when I get home. I've started standing up too. And today I woke up this morning, I was in the shower and I was like, oh, okay. All right. And I can't tell if that's because like I'm working the legs harder than I've worked them in a long time, or I'm on the 6-day countdown and I'm gonna die. It's one or the other.
Yeah, don't die, because when they take your picture down, they'll take mine down too. And that's, I don't want that to happen. Maybe they'll take like a razor blade down them. I mean, that would be interesting.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. This is the Rob Brown Show. Only on
I'm a winner. I know how to win.
You're damn right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of 4 starts now. Welcome back. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and ew. Coming at you live all the way till 10 a.m. Stacked and racked show for you today. In 1 hour from right now, we'll be joined by the lovely Lulu Kesson of the Greenville News. She covers the Gamecock Athletic Department for the GVL News. We'll talk to her about the South Carolina loss to UConn at home. We'll see if there's any updates in the football program that Lulu Kesson has for us. We got her coming up in an hour. 40 minutes after that, at 8:40, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast is going to swing by. We'll check in as Dan Morgan, Dave Canales, and the gang move ever closer to the NFL draft. Just a month and a half away. We'll see what Rashad's got. I know they've been doing some draft specials. They've been doing some mocks. We'll check in on the decision to re-sign Andy Dalton, his relationship with Bryce Young. We'll get all that going with Rashad Beard at 8:40 as we talk a little Panther football. At 9 o'clock, Hayden Ass Mario is going to join us. And this doesn't happen very often. But Mario texted me yesterday. And Mario said, hey, man, can we address this on the show tomorrow? Now, ordinarily, Mario doesn't say, I'd like to talk about. I give him the option to. I'm like, hey, if there's anything specifically you want to get to, let me know. And normally he's like, whatever you want. And you know, Mario is he's an NBA analyst, so we'll check in on a big Hornets win, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. We'll check in on, you know, Boston Celtics, Oklahoma City Thunder, see if he believes those are your inevitable Eastern and Western Conference champs. We'll talk a little NFL football because there's been a couple of not stories, but reports, rumors floating around out there about quarterbacks around the NFL. We'll get his thoughts on those. But I had a take earlier this week on this show. I had a take Tuesday night on BetMGM tonight, and Mario wants to address it. I think he wants to get after me a little bit. So we'll do that with Hayden Ass Mario Heron from the BetQL Network. Sorry, BetMGM Network. Brand new brand, baby. Coming up at 9 o'clock, and then at 9:20, the great one Lonzo leads us through Fight Club, your only dedicated segment to the world of combat sports and professional wrestling anywhere in the upstate. Lonzo came in here early to write that thing today. It's going to be a banger. Yeah, absolute banger.
Extensive. What I mean, there's no way it can be contained.
We're going to kick Mario off after like 4 minutes to make more room for Fight Club.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
What's he need more time for?
He needs less time. Let's be honest.
He cut his hair, man. So, I mean, less hair means less time. That's how it works for me.
Mario at 9 o'clock, Fight Club at 9:20. You know what happens now? What happens at the 7 o'clock segment every single day? We walk you through the biggest sports stories going on in the world of sports. We tell you everything you know before you get to the office to start talking sports with your coworkers. Ladies and gentlemen, we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers say, "You must chill." First bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your coworkers, with your boss, if you got one of those cool bosses that likes to talk sports. Our boss likes to talk sports. There's nothing more I love than getting him started on Jerry Jones. It's like revving up a diesel engine. Once he gets going talking about Jerry Jones, you're locked in for a minute. You're locked in for a minute, and I'm here for it. Hey, speaking of Jerry Jones, he's also going to be in the audio blitz today because he got asked about the Micah Parsons contract, and his answer was hilarious. And I just like enjoying the suffering of Dallas fans. Sorry, Cole Bryan. Love you and kerosene, but I got to do it. Also, I think Cole enjoys dunking on Jerry Jones, too, so I don't feel bad. Item number 1. We mentioned it in the last segment of the show. We take a trip over to Columbia, South Carolina. We take a little roadie over to Founders Park. That is where the South Carolina Gamecock baseball team played game number 5 last night, and the team remains perfect. They are 5-0 after a 7-2 win over Queens. I don't know if it's University of Queens, Queens University, Queens College, the College of Queens. I don't know. It just says Queens. They're from North Carolina. They're going back to North Carolina with a 7-2 L handed to them by the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Jackson Seuss got the start, 3 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 Ks, but it was Ryder Carino who got the dub awarded to improve his record to 1-0. He also went 3 innings. He also surrendered 1 hit, but he K'd 5 of his 6 outs came via the strikeout. Ashton Crowther came in 1.2 innings pitch, gave up a pair of earned runs, but did so without surrendering a hit, had a walk and 2 Ks, as well as a hit batsman. From the plate, Nathan Hall was the MVP without a doubt. 5 at-bats, recorded a hit in 4 of them, 0 strikeouts, had 2 runs credited to his name, and an RBI as well.
All
he
right.
got
Really quick, it's Queen's University of Charlotte.
Queens University of Charlotte. You know what? I should have known that because last year when the Burns Rebels played their season opener up there, they played it at a stadium that's like right across the street from that campus. I did know that. I didn't know that I knew that. I didn't know that.
That was actually 2 years ago. So,
God,
so
that's
yeah. So that's why you forgot.
That actually made me feel bad about myself as a person. Thanks, Lonzo. 3 for 4 went Ethan Petrie. He also had a pair of RBIs and a run credited to his name as well. The Gamecocks remain undefeated at 5-0. Let's get to item number 2. The Charlotte Hornets took on the LA Lakers last night in the first game back for the association out of the All-Star break. King James, LeBron James, was expected to miss a couple of games to rest up the ankle that was all fidgety that prevented him, quote unquote, from playing in the All-Star game over the weekend. LeBron James did not rest. In fact, quite the opposite. LeBron James went 10 of 22, 4 of 11 from deep, put up 7 rebounds and 11 assists to go with his 26 points. However, it was the last 2 shots of the game for LeBron that played the most impact. Trailing by 3, LeBron had not 1 but 2 opportunities to knock down a 3-pointer to send this game to overtime, and he failed. The Charlotte Hornets go on the road, get a 197 win over the LA Lakers. Miles Bridges, 29 points of 9 of 22 from the floor, 5 of 11 from range, knocked down 6 of his 7 free throw efforts, 27 out of a freshly arrested LaMelo Ball, 9 of 19, 5 of 13 from the arc, had 4 shots at the stripe, knocked them all down, also added 5 boards, 6 assists, and a steal. Mark Williams was kind of an interesting storyline in this game. Remember, Mark Williams was traded by the Charlotte Hornets to the LA Lakers right before the All-Star break, right at the trade deadline. That was a move that was going to send rookie Dalton Connect, a guy that I absolutely love, from LA over to Charlotte and add to the youth movement that I believe Charles Lee and the Hornets are going to get going up there for the Buzz. But of course, that trade was rescinded hours after the deadline. Mark Williams allegedly failed a physical. Very interesting, and I got the sound from this. We'll play it in the Blitz later on in the show. He was asked, hey, what did you fail? And Mark Williams said, I don't know. His direct quote, Lonzo, I think you'll appreciate this, was, the night I was traded, I played hella minutes that day. Hella minutes.
Yeah, that's a lot of minutes, Rob.
Hella minutes. Said I played hella minutes that day, and then I got traded. I don't know why I filled the physical. And the Lakers haven't actually given a detailed reason as to what caused the physical to allegedly be failed.
So is there a different physical to play in Charlotte than there is in LA? Because you just said he played last night. So
he played last night. He also played the game of the trade deadline day that he got sent to LA. This is why this has become a little bit dramatic. The belief is, and by the belief is, I mean my belief is the Lakers made the move, and then the Lakers got buyer's remorse. Not about Mark Williams specifically, but about what they sent to Charlotte to acquire Mark Williams. They wanted a big man. Mark Williams is a big man. They wanted a 7-footer. He's a 7-footer. They wanted a young 7-footer to pair with Luka Doncic so that they had a 1-5 punch that they could hang on to for a handful of years after LeBron walks away and Luka Doncic becomes the face of the Lakers, the face of the NBA. And Mark Williams felt like he was going to fit that role. But I think the LA Lakers, after they agreed to the trade, I think they had a little buyer's remorse. I think Rob Pelinka took a look-see at the trade and went, I don't think maybe he's going to add as much as we gave away, or maybe we gave away too much. I don't think Mark Williams failed a legitimate physical. I think the Lakers just decided they didn't want to do that trade anymore. And considering it had already been all but finalized, the only way they could stop it was to fail his physical. And so they did. I genuinely think he did not fail a physical. I think they failed him on his physical in order to undo a trade that sent another couple of young pieces. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Dalton Connect and Luka Doncic playing together for the next 10 years terrifies me. Terrifies me. SEC Player of the Year last year. That kid can ball. That scares me a little bit. And I think that the Lakers recognized after they did this move. I don't have anything to base this on other than the fact that, as we said, Mark Williams played the day he was traded, failed his physical allegedly, came back, played the very first game back after the All-Star break. 10 points, 9 boards, a pair of assists in this one for Mark Williams. He was 3 of 7 from the floor, 4 of 4 from the stripe. So that's where that ended up last night. We'll talk some more NBA later on in the show. We'll ask Kate and ask Mario about that coming up at 9 o'clock. Finally, let's get to item number 3. Yesterday, down in my home city of New Orleans, Louisiana, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti sat down, had themselves a little meeting along with the athletic directors from both of those conferences. And following that meeting, Sankey and Tony Petitti, I can't not say his name that way every time.
You know, that's okay. When it comes to Petitti, you got to do that.
Hey, don't disrespect Tony Petitti. You don't disrespect the man in charge. Dons don't wear shorts, huh? They said, Sankey and Tony Petitti, that they agreed that the way teams that are seeded in the 12-team college football playoff should change and should change this year. The voices of the two wealthiest and most powerful conferences certainly carry weight, and any changes for the 2025 season have to be unanimously, what is wrong with me, agreed upon by the 10 FBS commissioners and Notre Dame AD Pete Bavacqua. That, according to Heather Dinich of ESPN, she quoted Sankey as saying, quote, "Thank you, Heather. I'm prepared to vote for seating change, but it has to be unanimous." This past season, the 4 highest-ranked conference champions are in the top 4 seeds and a first-round bye. It was obviously a bit controversial because the way that the chips fell, it allowed for 9th-ranked Boise State, who won the Mountain West Conference, to earn the 3 seed, and for 12th-ranked Arizona State to earn the 4 seed. Both of those teams ended up with a bye. Therefore, 3rd-ranked Texas, who lost to number 1 ranked Georgia, and 4th-ranked Penn State, who lost to number 2 seed Georgia, Penn State, who lost the number 1 seed Oregon, were both runners-up in their respective conferences, but they could not be seeded higher than 5 and 6 because the top 4 seeds were reserved for conference champions. That's when the conversation started. A conversation about potentially changing the seeding for this fall that would basically say conference champions, conference runners-up, top conferences, lower conferences, no conferences at all. We don't care about any of that. What we care about is, while conference champs are still guaranteed a spot, we're going to stack them up 1 through 12, and that's our seeding. And it's a weird spot, great one, because, like, on one hand, I understand the reasoning behind allowing the conference champions to get a bye. It is the reward for winning the conference. The reason that Oregon, who could have lost to Penn State by 99 in the Big Ten championship game, went out and played that game to win that game, I think. was to earn the bye. Granted, it didn't work out for them because they got that whooped by Ohio State in round 2. But I think the reason they went out there and beat Penn State was to get the bye. I think the reason why you saw Texas and Georgia in the SEC, two teams that Georgia maybe less so, Texas definitely, and even if they lost that game, the reason you saw Texas go out and try to win was to try to catch the bye, prevent Georgia from getting it. I get the reason why they wanted to have the conference champions get a bye. If we go with this, not every conference championship game, this will not be true. Obviously, the ACC, Clemson, SMU. There was a very good chance, even if it was SMU, very good chance, obviously it happened, that the loser of the ACC title game was going to get bounced. If Clemson lost that game, they were going to get bounced. So it will not impact every conference championship game. Big Ten conference championship game, this would have an impact on. I believe that both Penn State and Oregon were going to the playoffs last year, regardless of the outcome of the Big Ten. So if I'm coaching at Oregon, if I'm James Franklin at Penn State, if I'm Dan Lanning at Oregon, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I care more about winning a national championship than I care about winning a conference championship. And if I care more about winning a national championship than winning a conference championship, and if I do believe that having the first round bye is a better option than not having the first round bye, I would win the conference championship in the old system, and I would absolutely send out 22 walk-ons and accept an ass whooping in the Big Ten championship game now, because even if I drop from, say, the 1 seed to the 6 seed, I'm still in.
But what if you are a coach who has an incentive in your contract that if you win a Big Ten title, you'll win, you're awarded millions of dollars?
That is something that coaches that are carrying contracts into next year will have to address. Here's the interesting question. For coaches that sign extensions, for coaches that get new contracts, do you accept that escalator? Do you say, I will take a conference championship bonus, knowing that if you find yourself in a spot like undefeated Oregon going into the Big Ten title game, knowing that they're in the playoffs one way or the other, so who the hell cares if they win the conference? Wouldn't you rather rest your boys? Wouldn't you? You're playing in the first round anyway. Wouldn't you rather rest the boys and go in there with a week's rest that other teams don't have?
Or you take the money knowing that there's no guarantee that you can go anywhere in the playoffs. I don't know. I mean, this is the old game show. Take the money now, or move on and see if you can win more.
Let's talk about that in the next segment, shall we? Rob Brown, the Great Milonzo, and you, the Rob Brown Show's on your radio. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fan Upstate. Because Mario doesn't watch wrestling, Kane.
That's why I think that was sarcasm. I think that's, yeah.
It's real funny. So I was on Tuesday night, and Ryan Horvat's a big wrestling guy. He was at the Rumble this year. And so whenever there's a PLE and I go on BetMGM tonight, Horvey will work wrestling into the segment, right? So like before the Rumble, before Elimination Chamber, he'll ask me about it. So he told me last Tuesday, is Elimination Chamber next Saturday? I think it is too. He told me Tuesday on the air, he's like, hey, just be ready because next Tuesday when you come on, we'll be talking Elimination Chamber. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I said, should I go ahead and plan for my segment to be 15 minutes or like 2 hours to talk wrestling? And he goes, honestly, dude, you might want to go ahead and plan on being in here for 4, which means I assume I'm probably going to guest host BetMGM tonight with him one night next week, in which case I am then going to talk a lot of wrestling with Ryan Horvat on a nationally syndicated betting show because you can bet on wrestling. So I was talking with Mario after we ended that segment. Before we end the segment, I'm off the air with him. I chat with the boys a couple of minutes before I get off their software. And Mario said, I got to tell you, he's like, I don't watch the wrestling, but listening to wrestling fans talk about wrestling is super entertaining. I was like, oh, for sure. It's the best. So what I talked him into, Zoe, and I don't think it's going to be Elimination Chamber. It may be WrestleMania, maybe night 1. What I talked him into is to joining me on a Discord chat during a PLE and watching wrestling with me and a couple of the boys that watch wrestling. And I was like, I can get you into this, but just like any sport, in order for me to get you into this, you got to watch it with me. And he's like, I'll jump on a Discord and watch. So I don't know what it's going to be. I may do an open invite listener Discord for the wrestling folks in the Armada to join in and watch maybe like night one of Mania. I'll set up a Discord chat for all of us to jump in there and watch together. I've actually thought about doing Discord chat for live games in the past, like open up a chat room, like a voice chat room, but we'll see. There's me and like 5 or 6 of my buddies from around the country that have been watching the Four Nations face-off games on Discord chats. Like we all pop into a chat together and just watch the games. Once you get your TV synced up, it's actually a lot of fun. I also have shallow stuck in my head now.
12. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the
But just the
IRS.
guitar,
Yeah,
I guess isn't as bad.
I still haven't heard the whole song yet. I just listened to that first little bit to grab the guitar.
Oh, it genuinely is a really good song. And you know, I get told all the time that I look just like Bradley Cooper. And
Sure.
I get told all the time I look just like Bradley Cooper. And after that song, people started telling me that I sing like him too.
All right, everybody, it's here. The March to Spring
Is that a compliment?
Yeah, he's actually really good in that movie. And did his own vocals. Him and Lady Gaga, I believe you called her. What was interesting about that movie, though, or that song, and once you hear it, he sings the opening stanza, and then when she takes over, you never hear him again. Because once she starts singing, he's gone. Like he jumps in for a sha-la-la-la-la-la-la-la later in the song. But once she starts singing and she takes it to an 11, he bails. Which, yeah, obviously, the girl's got pipes. Lady Gaga's got pipes. So geeked up for the USA-Canada game tonight. It is going to be fire emoji. I agree. We're going to talk about that probably next hour. Lulu at 8. We'll probably talk about that at 8:20. Rashad at 8:40. Mario at 9. Fight Club at 9:20. And then I'll honestly maybe bring it up again towards the end of the show. I'm falling.
Put in a couple more hours yesterday in that game. I think I'm starting to like it.
Yeah, I did not.
I know. Well, I mean, you know, it pops up on your thing if someone's playing the same game
Yeah.
as you.
I might play a little bit tonight. We'll see. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti, as well as the athletic directors of the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten Conference, sat down at a meeting in New Orleans, Louisiana yesterday, 1 week ahead of the overall college football playoff committee meetings, which will take place next week in Dallas, Texas. Yo. Yeehaw. The commissioners and the athletic directors are getting themselves on the same page because the Big Ten and the SEC, the power players in the landscape of collegiate football, they don't necessarily have unquestioned power. They do have unrivaled power, but not necessarily unquestioned because, as we have talked about a number of times, we don't have to spend a ton of time on this because I talked about it a little bit earlier in the week. If there are going to be any changes to the college football playoff format for this year, those changes have to be unanimously approved by the 10 FBS college football conference commissioners and the AD at Notre Dame. All of them have to say yes. Shout out to our boy Chris Miller, voice of the Gamecock pregame and postgame show, jumping on the stream. What's up, big fella? Happy to see you, brother. Thanks for coming by.
Hope to see you in a couple months.
True that. The commissioners of the SEC, the commissioners of the Big Ten, and then the other 8 commissioners and Bavacqua from Notre Dame. There's a very interesting power struggle breaking out here. Well, I don't know if it's a struggle because I don't know that they're struggling. There's the potential for a very interesting power struggle here. Little Game of Thrones college football edition. Because on one hand, Sankey and Petitti and all of their athletic directors are meeting in New Orleans coming up with what they want. One of the things that they want is to change the seeding format of the college football playoffs. Last year, obviously, the top 4 ranked college football conference champions, which did include the Big 12's Arizona State, and it did include the Mountain West Boise State. The 4 top conference championships, the 4 top conference championship winners got themselves a first-round bye. That led to a world in which Penn State, who lost to consensus number 1 Oregon to win, I think, the second best conference in college football, the Big Ten, had to play in round 1.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, you're so wrong
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah, I do.
Which conference had more teams in the? You're making me be Big Ten guy. I'm
You
not
are
that
being
guy.
Big Ten- you are being
no,
Big
no,
Ten
but
guy.
you're being anti-Big Ten.
No, I'm not.
You are.
No, I'm not.
You absolutely are.
Dude.
Who won the championship the last 2 years in a row? That would be the Big Ten. Who had more teams in this playoff? That would be the Big Ten. So you'd have to say, at least statistically, which you are big on, statistically, the Big Ten was the best conference last year.
No. I and I'm not SEC guy, but
Obviously, it just means more to you right now.
one through bottom of the conference was deeper in the SEC than it was in the Big Ten.
Uh-huh.
It was Ohio State, it was Oregon, it was Penn State. That was your conference. The SEC had a bunch of teams that were right
So
there.
those are the only 3 teams that made it into the playoff from the Big Ten.
Those were the only 3 teams that mattered.
So,
the
so you're
playoffs.
dissing your boy, who you were on with the entire season until he lost.
My boy.
I'm a winner. Look me up or Google me.
Google me. I'm
Yeah.
a winner.
Yeah.
Indiana.
You guys, you just act like that guy doesn't exist. When we heard that every week during the football season
We
last
did.
year.
And you know what else I said at the end of the football season? And I stand on that today. If Indiana played in the SEC, that'd have been a 6-6 team.
Uh-huh. Sure.
They would have.
Really?
They would have. Who beat them? Who beat them? The 3 teams that matter in the Big Ten beat them. That's the list. Nobody else from the Big Ten could beat Indiana.
How many teams from the SEC made
All
it
right.
to the playoff?
This is the point.
Well, you're the one who did
I
it.
know. No.
This was you.
No. I'm trying to stay on board, taking down both of your power conferences, your
No, you're
Targaryen
taking-
dynasties.
You are trying to take down the Big Ten whilst leaving the SEC alone.
I'm not. I'm about to go after Greg Sankey right now. So, Tony Petitti, and Greg Sankey got together along with their ADs in New Orleans, Louisiana yesterday, and they said, we want to change the seating format. We want to stack and rack the top 12 teams in America, regardless of conference championships, winners, losers, runners up, whatever. We want to stack them 1 through 12, and then that's just the way we want to see the playoffs. Now, after Boise State got a bye, after Arizona State got a bye, and after both of those teams got punked last year in their first game in the second round, I honestly don't think I really have a problem with the concept. I don't.
I just need to say something really quick because I was curious. Greg Sankey is also from New York.
New York guy, huh?
Yeah, so you got 2. It just makes it a little more,
So the head of the Sankey family and the head of the Petitti family got together in New Orleans, which obviously you do that. New Orleans is way away from Joycey, right? You got to get out of the view, out of the public spotlight to have these behind closed doors meetings. I assume there were 2 guys in black suits standing by both sides of the door. And also they 100% met in an Italian restaurant. So Sankey and Petitti, they got together in the back room. Cigar smoke wafting through the air, smell of bourbon infiltrating your nose. And they sat across from each other and they said, listen, you benefit, I benefit, we benefit. Your family benefits, my family benefits. Everybody's better off. Now, there's a bunch of more people outside, and they've got something to say about all this. But I'm going to tell you, I'm not worried about it. I don't think you're worried about it. I think we come to a deal. See, we got all the power right now. There's nothing they can do about it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new format here. And the format is very clearly going to benefit you and your family. It's very clearly going to benefit me and my family. And when we go into this meeting next week, we present a unified front, right? We present a unified front and we tell the other 10 folks in the room, you got 2 options. You can be with us or you can be against us. And if you happen to be against us, it'd be mighty unfortunate if something was to, happen to your beloved sport. So are you in or are you out? That's all I got. But thank you.
So nice touch at the end because
Cigar smoke.
Yeah.
Cigar.
See, I can't see your face, but I was just envisioning the meeting because that was you just painted a wonderful, wonderful picture.
I'm an artist. I'm an artist with language. So Petiti and Sankey, the head of the families, the two families, they get together and they say, look, here's the deal. Here's how we're going to do this. We're going to seed them 1 through 12. Why? Why would they do that? Because the reality is those two conferences have the image. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant. Those two conferences have the image that they are just light years ahead of everybody else. And for the record, they are. All right. The SEC to me is the best conference college football. The Big Ten's right behind them. And then everybody else. Sorry, ACC. You stack up that. Big 12's third. ACC is there somewhere. They stack up. So when we get to the end of the year, I will say this. And we talked about this a little last segment. I'll bring it back up here. I think there are, across all the conferences, I think there are some conference championship games that this is going to have an impact on. And there are some conference championship games it's not. Last year, as we pointed out, Texter said Robert De Niro's job is safe. I thought it was pretty good, to be honest with you. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, if you saw him on Saturday Night Live, he's not doing well.
Well, he's like 88 years old, and now he's got a kid, a newborn kid. He just had a baby.
Oh, so he hasn't been sleeping. Okay,
Bobby.
I get it.
Bobby De Niro. I get it. She's young. She's pretty. My man, chill out, bud.
It's all about legacy, all right? Rob.
You can do that without doing that. You know what I mean? That's all I'm saying, Bobby De Niro. Okay, so last year's Big Ten Conference Championship, Oregon, Penn State. I firmly believe both those teams were in the playoffs. I said this going into that game. I firmly believe both of these teams are in the playoffs. Last year, under the old format, top 4 conference championships get a bye. Under the format last year, both of those teams had a very good reason to want to go win that conference championship game. For Penn State is to guarantee that they were in and catch a bye. For Oregon, it was just to catch a bye. They were going in, and they were either going in as the 1 seed with a bye, or they were going in as the 5 seed, not having a bye, but they would get to host a game in round 1. But they had a reason to win. If we're going to go 1 through 12, what scenario does that look like this year? Well, the scenario it looks like this year would be that the Oregon Ducks win that game. They go in as the 1 seed. They get to host in the opening round of the playoff, but there's no bye. So if they lose that game, we'll say theoretically they drop to 5, which is, to me, I think the absolute lowest they would have dropped. Frankly, I think they would have probably dropped to 3 or 4. I think they still would have probably been ahead of Texas if Texas lost the SEC title game. Oh, that's irrelevant, hypothetical. Point is, they'd have dropped somewhere to 3, 4, 5. Which means instead of the 1 seed playing the 12 seed, which last year, of course, would have been the Clemson Tigers, ACC conference champions. Instead of Clemson coming to Oregon as the 1 seed, if we keep everything intact, instead what we end up with is Oregon going to 3, 4, 5, still hosting, but instead of playing Clemson, they'd have played SMU or somebody else, Indiana, Notre Dame, somebody in that range. If I'm Dan Lanning and the Ducks, genuine question. Do I go full tilt to win the Big Ten last year? Do I risk Dylan Gabriel? The best chance, the best hope I have to win a natty, do I risk him to win a Big Ten championship game that, if we're being honest, is kind of irrelevant? I mean, it's a nice source of pride, right? We get to hang a banner in Eugene. We get to make some fun T-shirts with the duck on them, wearing a crown or whatever. We get to talk smack to the Buckeyes for a couple of years. Hey, first year in, we whooped your ass. Like, that's all well and good. That's all good and fun. But to me, I'd rather win a natty. And I'd rather do everything in my power. I will sacrifice 15 conference championship games to play for 1 national championship game.
You keep saying to you, but if you add in your contract, you make an extra $5 million. If you win that game, you're going to try to win that game.
Maybe so, but I think there's 2 things at play. Number 1, I will also tell you that if I am a coach restructuring a contract, signing an extension, getting a new contract, moving into the Big Ten, whatever the case is, I'm not accepting that as an escalator. I'm telling my agent, I don't want a conference champion, because conference championship game is largely irrelevant now. It just is.
I'm taking the money. I'm saying, yeah, because if I believe in my team, I believe not only can I do that, but I can go all the way and win everything, and I get that extra money.
So the question here then becomes, if you're the Oregon Ducks last year, do you play your walk-ons in the Big Ten title game, give yourself an effective first-round bye by not playing the conference championship game, giving your starters one extra week's rest before you go play a 12 seed or a 10 seed or a 6 seed or whatever you're going to play in round one? And the answer to me is yes. Best chance I got to win is to be as rested as I can go into the playoffs. The answer is yes. So if these guys get these their way, if they push everybody else around and everybody else goes, hey, whatever it is you want, Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey, we don't want to upset the families. Whatever you want, it's yours. Take it. If they do that and they give in, these two conferences benefit. And I don't know that anybody else does, because I don't think there were any other conference championship games that had what the Big Ten and the SEC had, which was all of those teams are going regardless of the results. It makes it even easier for the SEC and the Big Ten to advance teams through the playoffs. We're good with that? Or is this more of a power grab that leads to a slippery slope? We'll talk more about it later in the show. Rob Alonzo and you, The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Buddy, it's snowing. Look at the roof of your car, pal. Look at the median. It's snowing. Like snowing.
Buddy, it's snowing.
Buddy.
Dadgummit, buddy.
I got to pull that buddy from Taylor.
Like some snow angels.
Buddy. Bobby De Niro. Bobby De Niro's job is safe. I'm sitting for a second because I have to record and change some stuff. So you guys just going to hang out. Actually, you know what? I'm going to step out for like 30 seconds while I do this. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I promise. I'm not going to say I suck at my job today. I'm just going to say I suck today in general. Like
You
I'm.
didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
No, I didn't. I did, Book.
You
I
are
did and I
an
do.
award winner. Okay.
I don't disagree. I am.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I
listen,
mean,
even Mike missed some shots. You know,
he missed a lot of shots
Mike missed a lot.
and people kind of forget all the, he was great and all, but he wasn't perfect.
Texter said, "If it makes you feel better, Rob, Robert De Niro doesn't know ball." I don't know. I've never heard Robert De Niro talk ball. Maybe Bobby D does know ball.
I will say he's got a heck of a swing. Watch The Untouchables.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, when he brings the bat in, yeah, it's had a guy quote the entire thing to me on the air. A guy who I still believe is actually in the mafia. So it was on these radio stations.
Dude, it's snowing now.
Yeah, oh no,
Not like frosty like it was. Like yesterday, we got a couple of little things. It is straight up. The weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. Winter snowing right now.
Who dropped the ball on this? Because
Baby.
there's usually a major every few minutes breaking into programming thing. It's just a mass amount of snow
Go
coming.
buy milk and bread.
Oh my God. Buy all the milk and bread. And we actually, it snowed a little yesterday, no accumulation, but we got accumulation going out there now. I don't know, maybe a half inch
It
on
is.
certain parts of the it's not sticking on the road yet. It got too warm, I think. Maybe not. I don't know.
It's snowing here. I don't know where it is. Wherever you are, wherever you happen to be right now, look outside your window, because if you got to drive, and here's my advice as a professional, don't. Just if you don't have to, don't. Because what I've learned is no matter how absolutely wonderful of a driver, I'm sure everyone in the Armada is. A lot of people around here ain't. It's like one snowflake, one raindrop hits a windshield, and half the population of upstate South Carolina loses their gosh darned minds when they get behind the wheel of a car. So if you don't have to drive this morning, if it's going to be, and I don't know how long it's going to stay like this, Alonzo. I assume it's going to go right up till 10 a.m. and then it's just going to stop.
Well, according to the weather app, there is no precipitation going on right now.
I'm going to go, but that app's busted.
You're a liar. Weather app.
For real, though.
It does say it's 30 degrees. I don't know if that's true or not.
Buddy, when I say it's snowing, it's snowing. Like,
Well,
I looked at, let me put it this way.
I looked out the window and said, man, I didn't know it was supposed to rain today. And Rob's like, no, it's snowing. And then I looked, it was like, oh,
Yeah.
there's snow on the ground.
And for the record, this isn't like, it's snowed enough since I moved here that I'm not the guy that's like, oh crap, here we go again. I think this is the heaviest snow that I have seen in this city since I moved here. Like we had that heavy snowfall a couple of years back. I don't think it was snowing like that. I think it was just lighter, but a lot longer period of time. Yeah, I'm a Forrest Gump it. I guess technically I'm a Bubba Gump it. There's big old fat snowflakes too.
Well, Rob, as someone who's been through blizzards, I got to tell you, as an expert in blizzards, this is no blizzard.
No, it's not. But it ain't a light snow.
It's
Chip.
definitely a shock.
Corn Chip just texted the show. He said, passing by the well now, and these snowflakes are gigantic. Chris was Captain America. Chris Evans down the hall was down here during the break. He was up at one of our tower sites yesterday, and he said, yesterday was the first day since I've been here that I saw snowflakes that were so big that they actually looked like snowflakes, like you see in the cartoons.
And you guys missed a rousing rendition of Let It Snow. I did not participate because I didn't recognize the song till they got to the chorus. But then when they hit the chorus, they full throated the chorus.
Nailed it too, for the record. Stuck the landing on it. A couple of actors.
William says, I'm at Furman and it's snowing.
Snowing.
So it's not just snow, it's snowing.
Yeah, well, when a thing is a thing, and it's like really a thing. Like Derrick Henry breaks through a hole, takes it 65, runs over a couple of DBs on the way. It's like, he didn't run the ball. He run the ball. When you say a thing twice, that means it's the ultimate version of that thing. And I'm not saying like this is a Denver, Colorado snowstorm. What I'm saying is I can see the snowflakes through our big ass heads on the window, which have darkened out the windows, and I can still see some big ass snowflakes.
It's it's one of those things where it's cold enough to where that stuff may stay out there. Again, it's not sticking on the road yet that we can see, but you need to be careful while you're out there driving, because I was caught unawares when it comes to this snowfall, and I'm sure a lot of people were also.
I knew that, like, so all right. So last night before I went to bed, I was like, "Hey,
you stay up too late, man."
I did say it. No, you know what? I did not. I only stayed up till like 11. Then I went in the back and I watched Lakers Hornets for a little while with every intention of falling asleep to Lakers Hornets because I'm a fall asleep with the TV on guy. Fall asleep. Ended up watching all the way to the end because it's actually a pretty good basketball game. Hornets get the better of the Lakers 197. So there you go. Now we've talked sports in the segment and I can't get in trouble for it. And right before I went to sleep, I said,
you're not going to get in trouble for talking about the weather, which is important to our listeners. I mean, come on.
I said, Alexa, what's the forecast tomorrow? And she's like, oh, there's a slight chance of snow flurries. And I was like, oh, dope. Okay. Like whatever. I can live with that. I came in this morning. It wasn't even that cold this morning. Like, it was nice. I got a hoodie on, but it was nice when I left. I say nice. It was chilly, but it was nice.
All right.
It was hoodie weather.
The temperature dropped from my house to here, and it felt pretty cold when I got out. It was like, I didn't think it was supposed to be this cold.
I mean, yeah, but hey, I'll put it this way. The young lady who just got out of the car in the parking lot walking across the street to go into the dentist office, she just got out of her car in short sleeves. All right.
Yeah.
It was that weather outside.
Yeah.
And now I look outside and it's like, oh no, it ain't just snow. As William said, it's snowing. So if you got to get out there on the roadways today, if you can text the boss right now, be like, hey, boss man. Hey, boss lady. I feel relatively uncomfortable driving my vehicle in these particular weather conditions. I'd like to work from home today. Do that.
This would be the perfect time for you during a break to mosey down to someone else's car and tell them what game they lost by drawing it in the snow. I'm just saying, if you wanted to do that, you could probably do that.
I can write it on his back windshield and then call him in here during the break. That's exactly what's going to happen. I hope he's not listening right now because that'll run the fun.
He's probably not listening.
We're about to find out. I'm 100% doing that as soon as we send it to the Sports Flash here in 4 minutes. It's exactly what happened. All right. So again, if you are out and about this morning, if you're already on your way to work, please be careful. If you do not have to drive this morning, you may want to take some time because not only is it snowing, Lonzo, now it's snowing side. Now it's snowing, and it's snowing sideways. So
I can't see it through the thing. So
it's snowing sideways now. So weather conditions going to be, let's say, interesting.
Yeah,
for
I'm
some
at the
period of
trees
time
and seeing some movement out there, so I can see why it's snowing sideways.
It's snowing sideways. So y'all be careful out there because it has started to come down. We have watched in the last 30 minutes the medians in our parking lot. They're not white, like covered white, like snow. So be careful if you're out there. All right. John Dog texts the show, said no snow on 26 towards Spartanburg. So I don't know if the burgers are getting it like the GV aliens are getting it, but here at the Radio Ranch, it's snowing. So y'all be careful if you got to be out there on the highways, byways, flyways, and skyways this AM because it's again snowing. So we'll see how that plays out.
Wow, you sound like an old school DJ there. Highways and skyways and stuff.
Yeah, I used to DJ on a classic rock station, and I totally had not like classic FM announcer voice guy, but I 100% talked the same way.
All right, what was classic?
Careful out there on the traffic ways, ladies and gentlemen. Flyways, byways, highways, and skyways. Very rainy around the Florida Panhandle. If you got to go somewhere, get there very safely.
So, what was classic rock when you were doing classic rock?
Classic rock was classic rock.
Yeah, but classic rock now is 80s. So I'm just curious about what classic rock was when you were doing classic rock.
Where I was, Skinner.
Okay.
Dead. Zepp. And then we kind of started to work into, 80s was in that mix too, but like 80s, but it was like the 80s you listen to in your Camaro.
All right, Brian.
Def Leppard, dude.
Brian, I'm glad I don't have one of those. I love my smart car. Brian, I don't even know what you just said.
It's crazy out here. I'm working in at Sweeping City. He said crubs, but I assume that's curbs. Like
okay.
He's out street sweeping.
Okay. All right.
Street sweeper, baby.
So a true member of the Armada.
Yeah.
It was like,
yeah.
I didn't
the
know.
Armada's blue collar, baby.
Yeah.
The Armada are the guys that are out there, the gals that are out there that are cleaning up the streets, that are driving the garbage trucks, that are delivering packages and all that. The Armada is the blue collar people. Now, you folks that work up in the sky towers, the ivory towers of Greenville, you're also welcome here. But the Armada's for the people.
Or in our case, downstairs.
Also that. All right. Here's what we got coming up. Because, yes, we did spend that much time.
It's
snowing.
No, it's important. It is very important.
It is.
Because I was not expecting this. And I think a lot of people, like I said, are in my boat and didn't think it was going to do this today.
Yeah, I got told light flurries. This is snow.
And if you are an employee of Odyssey, do not, especially in the production department, do not use this as an excuse to not come to work.
Yeah, everybody else though.
Yeah, it's
use it as an excuse.
The roads look fine. They look a little wet.
Yeah.
Just
If
be
you're not
careful.
coming to work, it means Lonzo's got to do more. You got to be here.
Yeah, I got stuff to do.
Yeah, but if you're not showing up, has zero impact on our lives.
Yeah, then stay home.
100% stay home. Yeah, it's the right thing to do. It's a safe thing to do. All right, Lulu Cass into the Greenville News coming up in the next segment. We'll talk some Gamecock shooty hoops with her. We'll see if there's any football updates she's got for us as well. Then 40 minutes after that, the legendary Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast joins us at 8:40. We'll check in on the Panther off season because there is no off season in football.
Bet it's snowing in Charlotte.
I bet it is. 9 o'clock, hating ass Mario Heron from the BetQL Network going to come by. We're going to talk hockey, college basketball, a little bit of baseball, bunch of football with hating ass Mario 920. Fight Club with the great one, Lonzo, your only combat sports centered segment in the upstate of South Carolina coming up at 9:20. And then after that, I don't know. We'll see how we do it. Sports Flash. I'm going to go do that thing.
You should go do that thing. Don't hurt yourself. The Charlotte Hornets defeated the LA Lakers last night, 100-97, led by Miles Bridges, 29, and LaMelo Ball's 27 points. Ball also had 6 assists and 5 boards, while Mark Williams' first game back from the negated trade to LA saw him put up 10 points and 9 boards. Very awkward. LeBron James went 10-22 for 26, but missed a game-tying 3 with seconds left to force overtime. South Carolina is now a perfect 5-0 after a 7-2 win over Queens last night at home. Jackson, this is in baseball, by the way, Jackson Susie got to start surrendering just 1 hit and no runs through 3 innings. Make sure to tune in this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. as the Furman Paladins take on the VMI Keydets. It's Furman versus VMI right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. It's the Fan, upstate. I'm going to jump off here a second while I get Lulu. We'll be right back.
Take us off one more second. Jacob texted the show and said, "We weld pipe over here." Hashtag Armada.
We weld pipe. Yeah.
Above that.
He said weld pipe. I don't think you can. It's not. There's no. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I might go out there and do that. I might go do that every break until he sees it. Here we go. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's the Fan Upstate. Got a couple of things to tell you real quick before we jump to the phone lines to our next lovely guest. Number one, if you didn't catch the last segment, or if you don't have a window, if you're in the Greenville area, and I have now been informed that this is true for Spartanburg as well, it's snowing. And when I say snowing, I don't mean that like light little dust flurry kind of thing we're used to. It's snowing. I went outside during the break. It's snowing. Put it this way. I wrote something really funny on the back of somebody's car in the snow. It's gone. That's snow. Okay? Like I wrote a funny thing on the back of Chris's car. Now it's gone.
Yeah,
that's snow.
It's only been about 5 minutes. So
yeah, it's gone.
It's pretty quick that it got
It's snowing. So if you got to drive this morning, if you don't have to drive this morning, don't. If you got to drive this morning, be exceptionally careful. If you can text your boss and say, "Hey, boss, I'm really sorry. I'm uncomfortable driving these conditions." Do that. You have our explicit permission to use this as an excuse to not go to work. Second thing I got to tell you is we are going to bump Rashad Beard back. Due to weather conditions in Charlotte, he's got to drop his daughter off at school at a different time. So instead of 8:40 joining us, Rashad Beard will wrap up the show in the final segment at 9:40 today, meaning that we have Lulu Kesson coming on here in mere seconds from now. We'll have Hate and Ask Mario at 9 o'clock. We'll do Fight Club at 9:20. We'll do Rashad at 8:40 to close out the show. The 8:40 segment, now the audio blitz.
I was right. The question about whether it was snowing in Charlotte, I guess.
Looks like it. Looks like it. So that's where we are. That's what we got going on now.
No, I moved here to get away from this stuff.
Buddy, it's in your blood. All right? Yeah,
Buddy.
It's in your blood. It follows you. That's just how it goes.
It won't follow me when I follow the law that's been laid down by my ancestors before me and head to Florida.
My ancestors before. No, there's enough of y'all down there. All right? We don't need you anymore.
Man, I'm gonna be the most amazing talk show host at the Villages. It's gonna be amazing.
You guys want to talk about golf? I love golf. You know what else I love talking?
No, we're just gonna talk pickleball. That's all. I mean, you know.
I love talking to our next guest. She's a young lady who covers the South Carolina Gamecock Athletic Department for the Greenville News over in Columbia, South Carolina. The illustrious Lulu Kesson joining us here on the show. Are you getting assaulted by the white stuff right now, Lulu Kesson?
No, there's no snow here. I'm very surprised to hear all this reporting of snow. But regardless, hey guys, good morning. Glad to be on. Hope you're doing well.
Doing exceptionally well, Lulu Kesson, because I'm inside. And I'm not like an anti-snow person. Like, I like it. I moved up here from Florida. We get snow in Greenville. I was told once every 2-3 years. This is like the third or fourth time since I moved here that it's like stick to the. I don't hate the snow. It gets old pretty quick, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's nice to go outside, experience it every now and then, but like, all right, it's been 10 minutes. I feel like we've had enough.
Yeah, I mean, where I'm from, it's like, I think it's like, it was like negative, or it was 11 degrees, felt like -8 the other day. So I'm just grateful. I'll take 40 and no snow than what everyone's dealing with back home for sure.
Completely concur. Lulu Kesson joining us here on the show, covers the Gamecock Athletic Department for the Greenville News over in Columbia, South Carolina. Lulu, the answer to this next question, this very first question, may very well be no. We'll find out. But anything with the football department we want to update. I know we're kind of moving ever quicker towards National Signing Day. You got to kind of start to wrap up the classes for next year. We're kind of looking at the portal being massaged by a couple of schools and whatnot. I haven't really heard, and I follow you on Twitter, so I feel like I know. I haven't really heard much. Is it all quiet on the Western Front right now, it seems like?
Yes. That said, last week, I believe it was like last Wednesday or Thursday, the list of combine invites was released. I think Adam Schefter put out all of them at once, and a record number of 11 Gamecocks invited, which was the first time, I think, since 2013. I want to say that they've been in double digits in terms of players who got invited last year. I believe it was only 5, so they already doubled +1 how many they had in 2024, and it's definitely among the most in terms of SEC players invited. So some players, which fans on Twitter were kind of describing as key players, didn't get an invite. That said, a lot were very impressed by the amount of South Carolina players that did make the cut in terms of getting an official combine invite.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things. We've talked about this a handful of different times that we've had this discussion, Lulu Kesson, but every time you have one of those things, it's the most Gamecocks ever to this, or the first team that's ever done that, or whatever. These are selling points. These are, I think, college coaches, when it comes to getting out on the recruiting trail, when it comes to pulling guys out of the portal, it's a job interview in both directions, right? It's players going, I should be good enough to play here, but it's also now, in the specifically and especially in the NIL portal era, it's also coaches selling the program, going, look, here's what we can do for you. Here's why we are the right fit for you. It used to be, you got to prove you're the right fit for us, and if you're lucky, you'll catch an offer. And now it's like, it's got to be a two-way transaction. Every time Shane Beamer pulls off the most this, the first that, whatever, it goes on the resume, and it's a real good look.
Absolutely, and especially this year with who, because you have the Demetrius Knight, the Torricellis, the Kyle Kennards, those three, that, Josh Simon, who transferred 2 years ago, but still, like, players who came into the program and Shane sort of gave them the year, the season, or the career they always wanted. That also speaks not just to high school recruiting, but especially the transfer portal as well.
Lulu Kesson joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, Lulu, let's check in with the women's basketball team. Well, I'll just let Dawn Staley say it. An F for effort in a home loss against UConn. Snaps a 77-game home winning streak, a mark which, I'm going to keep it a buck, I don't know if it'll ever be touched, honestly, and that includes with Dawn staying at South Carolina. That's a mighty big number. Let's start with the game itself. She said it was embarrassing. She graded it as an F. I checked in, and basically it just felt to me like South Carolina had no presence in the paint, and so they were just kind of, the Huskies were kind of able to play from the outside and just be better.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. They didn't show up on any level in any way. The effort wasn't there. The execution wasn't there, especially on offense, and what Dawn has criticized, yesterday in media and after the game on Sunday. There was just no flow or effort. Like, they took away everything. They made entry passes to, Sanaya Fagan and Chloe Kitts and Joyce Edwards hard. So it kind of just looked like South Carolina crumbled from there. I mean, if you go back and watch, there were possessions where they really just dribbled around the three-point line or passed it around the three-point line. Like, there was no emphasis or kind of adaptability after UConn took away the first initial insert pass. And after that, I think UConn just kind of capitalized on, the lack of offensive momentum that they had and beat them in transition on the other end. And obviously when you hit 13 threes, a lot of teams are losing to UConn the way that UConn shot. That said, not that many teams are losing in the way South Carolina did, because a lot of it was self-inflicted errors, and a lot of it was just South Carolina looked like they, in some ways, like, not forgot how to play basketball. That's a little harsh, but just like the effort in everything, because rebounding is effort, second chance layups are effort. None of that was there, and a lot of that South Carolina basketball was just missing.
Lulu Kesson joining us here talking about the South Carolina home loss to UConn last week. I know we've had some opportunities to kind of get it right since then, Lulu Kesson. Aside from the quote about grading out an F, saying that they were embarrassed, there was another quote that jumped out, which was Dawn Staley said, and you put this on your Twitter account, at Lulu Kesson, LULUKESIN, for those that want to give Lulu a follow. She's fantastic. Quote, "There is no silver lining. We got beat, and we got beat back." I found that interesting, mainly because, Lulu Kesson, as I try to keep it a buck, I agree entirely. There really wasn't anything from that game that I could drop at least this on. Were there any for you, or do you agree with Dawn on this?
I honestly do agree with Dawn. I think at one point there was something, like, now I'm almost trying to remember, like, at one point I thought, like, I think Mylesia Fulwiley played well, and I think she was a burst of energy off the bench, but I don't think it was enough to call it a silver lining, especially because she had 2 fouls, which I imagine is the reason Dawn had to pull her right before halftime or right before the third quarter. So I honestly think this was a game where Dawn had to be transparent with, with us, with her players, that there's not any real good to pull out of it. And I think that she knows when, I'd argue that she's proven to be the coach that knows exactly when and what to say to her players. And if there's a time to be harsh and honest and say that there isn't any good to take from this, she's going to say it. And I imagine, these next 3 games will show if that was the right approach or not.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, Lulu, you like to catch a little bit of a breather after an L like that, right? Like we've talked about the SEC and the men's conference, for instance. There's no breathing room for any team. There's just stacked top 25 teams, and it feels like there's very few stretches where a team gets an opportunity to play 2 games in a row not playing anybody. The good news here, if there's any for Dawn and the gals, is you got a 9-18 Arkansas team coming up this evening. Then a 19-7, a good Vanderbilt team, but they're 6-6 in conference. And then you've got on the road at Ole Miss. You are at Vanderbilt, and then on the road against the 17-8 but 8-5 in conference Ole Miss team. It's not like you're playing 3 nobodies back-to-back, but it feels like this is, with 4 games left, ending with a homestand against Kentucky, another decent little team. It feels to me like, Lulu Kesson, these next 3 games are a sharpen the iron and get ready for battle, because you'll be coming to Greenville for the conference tournament sooner than you know. It feels like these next 3 games may be critically important for this team to figure out whatever it was and correct whatever it was that went wrong against UConn.
Yes, I think that's a great point. And I wasn't necessarily hesitant, but I didn't know if it was the right time. I kind of asked Dawn about this yesterday, but the UCLA loss was a really, really bad loss. I don't think South Carolina played as badly as they did against UConn, but they shot really poorly. There just wasn't a lot of offense or defense that game. South Carolina went on to win 17 straight, including 5 consecutive games against top 25 opponents. Then they lose in Texas, kind of in my opinion, I thought maybe the Texas loss I thought they played a little bit worse than maybe the perception of the game kind of said. I don't know. But then they have this UConn loss kind of soon after where they're just terrible, in my opinion. So now it's sort of like, is the silver lining that South Carolina has the ability to be, the angry kind of go on a 17-game win streak team again. And you want that when you don't even have 17 games left because there's the SEC, there's 3 games SEC tournament March Madness. So it could potentially be a blessing in disguise that South Carolina got really, really kind of just beat bad very late in the regular season, because it could make them sort of lock in at a time where if they snuck by UConn, they could maybe have this type of game in the SEC tournament, or God forbid, an early March Madness game as well. Because like I said, yes, so much credit to UConn, but South Carolina just didn't show up, and they could not show up against any team. And so in some ways, Dawn might be secretly, I don't want to say secretly grateful, but it could potentially be a good thing of the timing as to when this happened in terms of how they kind of go on to win, or start a new winning streak going forward.
There is, I think, Lulu Kesson, a question that has to be asked. And the best way I can come up with is this. The team we watched play last year, the team we watched bring home a trophy last year, was very clearly a very special team that had some very special players. I don't think it is disrespectful to say that, just realistically speaking, this team's not as good as last year's team was. There is somewhere in there a balance between this team is not playing as well as this team can play, and also the standard is so damn high because of the last 3 or 4 teams that Dawn Staley's had come through, Columbia, South Carolina. To me, it feels like there's a balancing point between you're not as good as you were, but you're also playing worse than you are. Where on that spectrum do you think that team is today with 4 regular season games left?
Dawn alluded to that. I'll answer your question, but I'll say a quote she said yesterday is we're having blemishes in the form of a loss, whereas last year we had a ton of blemishes that just weren't in the form of a loss, and we were really good at disguising them. I think the South Carolina team isn't, to put it in a harsh way, isn't as good in the post. Obviously, this year they're struggling a little bit, but I also think the expectations are incredibly high because they lost 2 games in 2 seasons combined, and now in 1 season they already have 3 losses. I just think that they set a bar and a standard for women's basketball and their own program that obviously they're not living up to right now in a couple different ways, but I don't necessarily think that there's been a huge drop off without Cardoso. I think that in some ways they're just struggling internally, and even teams that return, 11 of 13 of their players, that happens from time to time.
Lulu Kesson joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I'm interested in 2 things, Lulu Kesson. I think the first is to see what this team looks like going into the conference tournament game. I mean, really how they finish the season, obviously, as we mentioned. You got 4 games left in the regular season conference schedule. Today against Arkansas, back-to-back roadies at Vandy, at Ole Miss, and then back home to wrap it up March 2nd against Kentucky. Obviously interested to see how this team responds to that loss over the next 4 games. Obviously interested in seeing what this team looks like heading into the conference tournament here in Greenville in a couple of weeks from now. I'm also interested to see what Dawn starts to do to shape the future, to shape next year. Is she all bought in on this year? Is her attention turned towards making sure next year's team is more reminiscent of the 2024 team, etc.? Have we gotten any indication, or does it feel like Dawn Staley is bought in on continuing to push this team to try to get a repeat?
I definitely think it's both. I would be shocked if she didn't look at sort of what, I don't want to say what she was working with in terms of the post players, but I imagine that looking at, was that 2025, 26? Holy cow. It is a lot of kind of more serious focus on bringing in or developing further a true center or post player. Obviously, she'll still have Joyce Edwards, but I think now looking at sort of the struggles that her team is having, it's bringing in somebody, whether that's a a transfer portal grab or kind of recruiting, but very focused on what a true center can add to this team again.
Lulu Kesson joins us every single Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk Gamecock athletics. Lulu, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. You are the best. We'll talk to you next week and check in on what the streak looks like headed to the SEC tournament.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be back, and have a great rest of your week.
You're the best. Thank you very much. She's so remarkably polite. You get Mario in here, he goofs off. Nothing. I love it. She's so polite. She's so kind. And you get Mario in here and he's like, sup, dudes. All right, guys.
Why are you going at Mario for?
Because it makes me laugh. No other reason.
Okay. I mean, leave him alone. I mean, everything's not a comparison to another person. Lulu's awesome.
Lulu is awesome.
Mario's great too.
Mario is a person. He is a person.
Wow. You're so mean.
I love Mario. I also know he starts listening earlier than he comes on. So I'm really just talking smack in case he's leaving. Hey, speaking of hating ass Mario, a.k.a. Mario Heron from the BetMGM Network, he is going to join us here in about 40 minutes at the top of the next hour. Rashad Beard, supposed to be at 8:40. Due to some weather up there in Charlotte, he's got to make some adjustments to his schedule. He's going to join us 9:40, final segment of the show, which means we got to talk some hockey. We got to talk some soccer. Stick with me. Going to be interesting. We got your audio blitz, Mario, Fight Club, Rashad. We all go home. The Rob Brown Show's on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys, quick live coming right back. Stay right there for me. still delivered. I'm yours. Okay, that was all. Elon's had a great idea.
I help you out. I might as well help him out too.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not
Hey, both
playing
sides
this
against
game.
the middle. I love it.
Hey, man.
Strategy.
What I
Seems
do.
very Lonzo.
Yes,
Play
it
on the winning
does.
Team, if you got to play on both teams.
It's because I'm a gaslighter, apparently.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. I am very excited about a thing that I genuinely hope is about to happen in American sports. The Greenville Triumph plays in a league called USL, United Soccer League, League One. There is USL Champions League, which is the top of the USL league structure here in American footy. Then there's USL League One, USL League Two. 3 leagues stacked on top of each other. However, like a traditional setup, they are leagues 1, 2, and 3. And when you're in a league, you're in a league. However, the USL proposed something very interesting a few days ago. They proposed propping up a new league, another USL that would be above the championship, which is the top level of current USL structure, and actually trying to make a top tier professional outlet that would become competition for Major League Soccer. Now, that in and of itself, and I think we're all trained to think this, doesn't really feel like a big deal. If the USL props up a top-notch league and they try to make it a competitor for MLS, for those of us that have grown up in traditional American sports culture, that doesn't really mean anything because we've seen leagues propped up to try to compete with the NFL. We've seen leagues propped up to try to compete with the NBA. We've seen leagues propped up to try to compete with MLB. And those organizations have so much money and so much in the way of resources that they just can't compete. They just don't have the ability to compete. But this USL League is interesting. This USL League is going to do something different. This USL League is going to adopt the European structure of professional sports. This USL League, if it floats, would utilize what is called promotion relegation. Now, if you're not a soccer guy, don't you worry, sit tight. I'll run you through it. It's pretty simple. At the end of any given season, the top X amount of teams in any division would actually move up a division. And they would replace the bottom that many teams from the division. They would replace the bottom that many teams from the division above them. It's usually like 3 or 4. So if you're in, say, the USL Champions League, which if this new league is floated will become the second highest level of USL soccer. If you're in USL Champions League and you finish 3rd place, you would actually go up to the top division. If you're in the top division, USL, whatever it's going to be called, Premier, and you're in the bottom 4 spots, you would actually drop down to Champions League. Same thing between USL League One and USL Champions League. The bottom 4 teams of Champions League would drop down to 1. The top 4 teams, 3 teams, 2 teams, 1 team, whatever number they decide on, the top X teams from USL League One would jump up to USL Champions League. Now, I love this for 2 reasons. Selfishly, I love it because if it goes up and if it involves the USL structure in its entirety as a pyramid today, the Greenville Triumph are in play. I've heard Diesel, since I moved here 5 years ago, ask the question, do you think it's possible for Greenville, South Carolina to, whether it's sometime soon or in the distant future, end up having a professional sports franchise? Could we get an NHL team here? Could we get an MLS team here? Could we get an MLB team here? And my answer to Diesel has historically been, since I started working here 5 years ago, my answer to Diesel has historically been, no. You don't have the resources. You don't have the infrastructure. You don't have the commitment from local politicians. The answer historically has been no. I do not think, unfortunately, that this community has the commodities to host a professional, top-tier sporting outfit. But I think it does. I think it does. Now, it's not MLS. Okay? It's not MLS. I don't think that this community is going to compete with Inter Miami, Orlando City, certainly not with Charlotte FC right up the road, Atlanta United right down the road. But here's what I do think could happen. With a promotion relegation system, and by the way, I'm going to reach out to Doug Irwin and Chris Lewis, who may even be listening right now, and see if I can get one of them on the show tomorrow to address this. The Greenville Triumph currently play in USL League One. They have for 5 years, going into year 6. They've had a pretty good run. Had a good run with John Harkes, won a championship, made the finals a number of times in a row, been to the playoffs every year. It's a good team. It's a good team at USL League One. If that level of success was to continue, there is an opportunity at some point that the Greenville Triumph could, if this new system is propped up, and if it works, and if promotion relegation is part of it, which it looks like it would be, the Greenville Triumph, with just another year like the one they've had, could jump up to USL Champions League. Now, the competition obviously gets a little bit better. The competition obviously gets a little bit stiffer, but so do the resources. There's more money in the Champions League that would come to town. There's more money that would go into the team. There's more money to invest. You would end up being on TV more. You would end up having more national exposure. You're able to sell more merch, get more people coming to matches, et cetera, et cetera. You do that for a couple of years. Maybe you stay in the middle of the pack. You rise up year after year. Eventually, maybe Greenville makes it to the top 2, 3, 4 of the USL Champions League. Then what? Then they go up to USL Premier or whatever it's going to be called. I love this. And the reason I love this is because it opens up professional sports to all types of new communities around the United States. But it does something else. It promotes teams that try. It promotes teams that actively invest. It promotes teams that put together a plan, execute the plan, and succeed. It promotes teams that give their fans a product that they want to watch, not a product that they have to watch because they just don't have any other choice. I'm going to tell you right now, I will be going harder in the paint in support and promotion of this USL setup than I ever have for Major League Soccer. And the reason why is this city could have a professional sports team at the top level, but it will require USL to pull this off. It will require promotion relegation, and it will require the continued success of the Greenville Triumph. You know who helps with that? You do. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Must not be snowing as hard because it's still.
No, it's definitely cooled off.
You can still see it on the back of his window. Although the skies don't appear to be clearing. Solid gray out there. Day to go home and play video games.
Clemson will play Saturday, heading to Dallas to take on SMU. Tigers have won 3 straight, 9 of their last 10 after beating Florida State.
Tigers.
Saturday. They're 13-2 in the ACC, behind Duke for the conference lead. South Carolina hosting the Texas Longhorns Saturday. Gamecocks have lost 13 straight games after losing Tuesday night to LSU. Download the Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on The Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. I-85 is speeding along at less than 25
Do I have like
miles an
30
hour in
seconds?
both
Yes.
directions
That's all I
between
need.
Botman, McClyman, and I-385. Your drive between Greenville and Spartanburg right now is 45 to 50 minutes. Downtown Greenville is extremely congested. Lanes are closed for paving on Elford Street near Church and Academy Streets, as well as Academy Street near College.
Can they do that in the snow?
Oh. WORD Traffic Center. I'm Bill Brooks on The Fan Upstate.
You're still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find
Bought my first magic sword yesterday.
doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair.
There are a ton of vendors when you get further in.
Is that?
Yeah, and you can upgrade all your stuff. I haven't got to the point where I can make things yet. There is a tab for construction, so I don't know.
I got a light disc discouraged when I was going through all the tutorials, and it's like you can deconstruct it, then use it. Craft.
No,
Can I just sell and buy?
you can do that. You can do that, but also you can strengthen whatever weapon or piece of armor up to 3.
Yeah.
And then it's more complicated with magic, but
See,
you get the materials naturally.
Yeah.
Some when you kill things. So like animals, of course you're gonna get pelts.
Yeah.
And pelts are the main thing to upgrade your armor. So it's not doesn't have to be that difficult for you. You could just go and I just bought a sword for 3,600 gold. All right, so you've got to get 3,600
Yeah.
gold. It took me a while to get to that,
See,
but
this is what I do.
but I
with Skyrim.
fought a ton of things. So
When I play Skyrim, I just pick up everything. I go in town and I sell it until the merchant's out of it.
you can do that here.
I'd rather
And
do that and then just buy stuff than sit there.
once you get to the main town, there are several levels of the city, and there are like 4 or 5 vendors together in each level of the city. So you can and all the you get a camp. You can set up your own camp, and that's where you can do your own if you want to strengthen your stuff. You don't have to pay for it.
I'm not going to give up on it. I'm going to keep playing it. Like I said, it didn't blow me away early, but that's not I'm done.
I don't know how many hours it takes to beat it. So, dude,
Jeez, lady.
Into my mouth from the back. First of all, cut out the bit. Second, I don't know how germophobia
Rashad Beard going to join us 1 hour from now to close out the show. Got the audio blitz coming up for you here in just a second, but I want to finish up the thought that I was having in that last segment because I kind of centralized it. That's my job. I think the USL propping up a top-tier league. You got USL League 2. You got USL League 1. That's where the Greenville Triumph play. You got USL Championship above us. Thank you, Texter, for correcting me because soccer brain took over and I said Champions League. It's not. It's USL Championship. And then, theoretically, the USL is looking at propping up a league above that they would like to try to utilize as competition for Major League Soccer. I'm all in. I'm telling you now. You will all get aggravated with me because I will become the biggest fanboy, cheerleader, promoter, whatever I can do in that product, in that league. Now, that's not to say I want to see MLS fall. I don't necessarily want to see MLS fall. I will want to see MLS fall if and only if whatever the USL builds becomes a better product. I will want to see them do more. The reason I think that it can, the reason I think that it will, is the concept of promotion relegation, which is a foreign concept in American sports. And there's a reason for that. The reason for that is because owners, commissioners, etc., they, as it stands in current professional American sports, they don't have much of a reason to heavily invest in and genuinely push their team to be good.
so you don't think it's a little hard to follow? Because I think it probably will be a little hard to follow for the average fan if it was in other sports. You got to pay more attention to things. Oh no, they didn't score enough points. They're going to get moved down. Or, oh man, if we can just win this, we're going to get moved up. That's pretty complicated. And I don't think necessary in other sports.
I would respectfully disagree, and here's why. It's not that much more to follow. You know the number of teams at the top of a league that are going up and the number of teams at the bottom of the league that are going to move down. And basically all you're concerned with is, are we going to be in the top 3? Are we going to be in the bottom 3? Are we going to move up? Are we going to move down? Are we going to stay in the same league? Remember, the majority of teams every year are going to stay in the same league that they were in the year before. A couple of excellent teams that excel in that league will move up. And the way it traditionally works in the bigger leagues in Europe, you have your mainstays. Chelsea does not get relegated. Manchester United, who right now is having a chaotic time with their ownership and management, is not getting relegated. They might have the worst year that Man U's had in a very long time in the Premier League, they're not getting relegated. They're historically too good. They've got way too much in the way of resources. Now. That's not to say that down the line you couldn't ultimately end up having a team that maybe got promoted from the championship level up to the Premier League that takes full advantage, is able to invest, is able to generate growth, is able to eventually become a team that stays in the Premier League, maybe at a mid-level. Maybe they grow a big fan base. Maybe they move up. Maybe they're able to generate enough revenue, income, enough of the way of finances to build a top-notch stadium. Now, all of a sudden, they're a tourist destination. They start bringing in more fans. Now they're able to attract better players because they have more money to go around. If this league goes in that direction, if it is propped up, established, utilizes promotion, relegation, and it all works, I think Greenville, South Carolina is on its way to having its first top-level professional sporting event. I think the Greenville Triumph could very well morph into a USL League One team that has played at a high school football field, is now currently, and a wonderful partnership, by the way. I don't mean this with any sense of disrespect or degradation. I promise you, I'm at every game. But they're utilizing Furman's football field. 2026, they'll have a new stadium up in Malden at Bridgeway. Super excited about that. But this is the kind of thing that, to me, really benefits Greenville. Because if the Triumph go out there and they just do what they've been doing, just be inside the top 4 annually, or at least way more often than not, get a crack at it next year to move up to USL champions. And if they go there and they get relegated in the first year, great. They learn some lessons. You get a little bit better. You spend a year at the champions level. You make a bunch more money. Now you can take the money you earned that 1 year, and even though maybe you step back and generated revenue going back to USL League One, you got a big pot of money you earned from having more opportunities the year before. Now you can invest that into getting back there and staying there. So what happens with a team like Greenville? They show up, they support, they move up to Champions League. Now all of a sudden, they're playing some bigger clubs. They're playing some clubs that are a little more notorious around the country. They're playing clubs that have larger fan bases. What's that mean? That means when those clubs come here to Greenville to play an away match in the GVL, they got a bigger fan base that goes, you know what? We're going to head down to Greenville, South Carolina. We're going to go watch this team play. We've heard lovely things about the upstate. Let's go check it out. The boys are playing a roadie down there next Saturday. Let's go down. And now all of a sudden, you double up the number of fans that are coming from away. What's that bring? Ton of money into the market. Ton of money. More on TV. Ton of money to the Triumph. Ton of money to the community. This is a wonderful idea. It's a wonderful idea for American sports because of the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's first thing that jumped into my head. The Pittsburgh Pirates refuse to spend money. They just refuse to. They won't do it. They go find a Paul Skeens. They're going to have Paul Skeens play out his rookie contract. He's going to win a Cy Young. He's going to be great. And the minute that Paul Skeens' contract comes up, and he's won a couple of Cy Youngs, and he's worth $100 million contract, Pittsburgh's going to go, now we're good. We're good. Good luck wherever you are next, Paul. Have a great time. Because they don't want to spend that money. They never have. The owner of the Pittsburgh Pirates is going to sit back. He's going to watch a dedicated fan base that loves their Buccos, continue to show up to games, continue to put money into the coffers, continue to buy jerseys, continue to buy tickets, continue to watch them on TV. Which means that he not only gets to work out his regional TV deal, which is going to pay him a ton of money, but also he gets the MLB television revenue that comes into his franchise. So the owner of the Pirates gets to sit raking in money year over year without actually ever trying to make the team good. What would be the attitude of that same ownership group if the bottom 4 teams in Major League Baseball every year were relegated down to being a single A team? How much different does that look? If the top 4 single A teams replace the bottom 4 MLB teams, they got to go up to the show. They got to host Major League Baseball games. They got to be on Major League Baseball networks. They got to be on ESPN playing Sunday Night Baseball a few times a year. Even if they have a smaller stadium, they're now a tourist destination that all of a sudden the Braves want to come there and the Red Sox fans want to come there, et cetera, et cetera. How much different does that look? Now, what does the ownership group do? They go, wait a minute, if we get relegated down to second level baseball, we lose an ass load of money. And at the end of the day, as we have pointed out over and over, the reason that these owners don't try is because they're going to make a bunch of money and they don't have to try. But now they would, because they'll get replaced. They'll get replaced if they don't try. That's why this system works. That's why this system is utilized across Europe, across Asia. It's because it works. It's because it makes owners try. It makes owners invest. It makes owners go get players, pay those players, upgrade the stadium, make themselves a tourist destination. Because if they don't do those things, they get relegated, they go down a level, they lose a bunch of money. You can't just be like American professional sports owners where you sit up in your ivory tower and your big old Dr. Evil chair that swivels around and buy sharks with freaking laser beams on their heads. You got to try. You got to field a team. You got to be competitive, because if you don't, you'll get shipped down to a lower level where you have less money-making opportunities. You will make less money. The revenue will not be there. And then you have another opportunity at that point, which is you can try to be dominant at that level, get promoted back up to the show where you can go back to making more money, or you can do nothing there. You can do nothing there. And you can just hang out at that level and make a little bit of money, not as much as you would if you were in the big show. Or you can still go, hey, you know what? I make a good enough paycheck here. I'm not going to do anything. And then what happens? Get relegated again. Now you're down to the third level. Now you're down to Wrexham, if you follow that at all. Now you're down at the third level. And when you get down to the third level, what happens? Even less money. Less people to come to games. Less tourists coming to your town, less people buying jerseys, less people buying tickets, certainly way less TV time, which means way less TV revenue. There's no argument against this system other than the people who profit the most off the teams do not want it. That's it. That's the only reason. If we had promotion relegation in the UFL and NFL, the Cleveland Browns would have to try. The Birmingham Stallions would get a crack at moving up to the NFL. That's better for the people of Birmingham. It's better for the people of Cleveland. You know the only people it's not better for? The Haslams. That's it. It's the only people it's not better for. Why? Because if they get relegated, they lose a bunch of money. Well, if there is one thing the billionaire sports owners will start putting boots to ass to accomplish, it's make more money. Or lose less money, however you want to look at it. This system can and will work. I mean this when I tell you. I am going to be obnoxious in my support of this new USL idea. I am going to be obnoxious in my promotion of this. When this league fires up, Alonzo and I have made the joke 100 times. You know, when the UFL fires up, USFL, XFL, UXFL, whatever it's called this year. When that league fires up, I'm going to watch it this year. I'm all in, baby. And I'll watch a weekend. I'll watch opening day, maybe week 2. And then I bail out because I got baseball on. Because I got soccer on. Because I got NBA on. Whatever. I'm out. Because it's not top level. Y'all, when the USFL,
or because it's warm outside and you just want to go outside.
Or there's that. Well, that's why I built myself an outside watching TV area for this summer. Got that done. Threw me a little rock garden outside.
Looking outside now. You're really going to be able to hit that soon.
Very clearly, I said for the summer. I'm going to be obnoxiously in support of this USL system if they pop up I'm just going to say it's called the USL Premier League. If they pop up this Premier League, I'll be watching every weekend. I will tell you that it will slot right up there in the list of things I mandatory watch. I will be a consistent, steady, reliable pair of eyeballs. And I'm going to go ahead and say it now at the risk of getting myself in trouble. I don't care. You'll all be coming along for the ride because I will be talking about it weekly. I will be doing a USL segment. I'll be doing USL updates. I'll be doing interviews with managers and players and owners. I'll be doing everything I can to promote this league because if they prop up this league and if this league works, 2 things happen. Number 1, it will show Americans that promotion relegation benefits literally everybody except owners who get relegated. And if you're an owner who is threatened with relegation, Do you know what you do? You try. You invest. You pay. You upgrade. You do all the things we all want our owners to do, and about half of us are lucky enough to have that happen. Because if you don't, you lose money. You can spend some money to make some money, or you can save some money to definitely lose some money. Billionaires ain't really fond of not making money. It's literally the only thing they concern themselves with. You do not become a billionaire without having a sole goal in life of money, 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 money. That's it. So if we get to a point where we create a system that says you try and you succeed, or you make less money, or you actively lose money, do you know what happens? They'll try, they'll invest, they'll buy in. And now all of a sudden, fans of teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, fans of teams like the Cleveland Browns, they'll turn to their owners and they'll go, whoa, 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 whoa. For years, we've let you get away with this crap because, frankly, there's not a damn thing we can do about it. And that's bad. But now, there is something that can do something about it. The system. Relegation can do something about it. Now I can be a Pirates fan and I can still love my Pirates and I can still tune in to watch them. Maybe I'm watching them at a lower level. Maybe I'm watching them at single A ball next year, but I can still tune in and watch them and I can still get enjoyment out of the game, out of the sport, and out of my team. But now there's a threat to the owner. There's never been a threat to the owner. You can spend as little money as you want. Now you can't. Now you got to buy in. Now you got to invest. The second thing that happens, Greenville Triumph have been towards the top of the USL League One table year after year after year after year after year after year. There's a reward for that if we have promotion and relegation. They go up to USL champions. They go up to USL champions. What happens? Teams get tougher. Games get tougher. Roadies get tougher. But you get more money to invest back into the program. I know for a fact the ownership and management of this team will invest because that's all they've been doing with this team for 6 years. 5 of them I've been here for. They invest. Would you look at that? All of a sudden, the Greenville Triumph 2-3 years down the road, top 5, USL Champions League. Then what? Now you're promoted to USL Premier. And Greenville, South Carolina has a top-tier professional sports team. And what we have to do, nothing more than play good footy. It's great. It's great. Joey B just popped in the chat. He said, can you imagine a Triumph game where they have a chance to go up to the championship or to the Premier? You want Greenville to be a big deal city? Having a major league sports team goes a long way. And here's the thing. You don't have to flirt with a league. You don't have to beg a league. That team is literally already here. It is here already playing. I've been going to their games for 5 years. It's already here. All we got to do is say, if you do good, you get rewarded. Unlike the billionaires in charge now who, if you don't do anything, you can be bad and you get rewarded. Not anymore, sucker. The promotion relegation model is the best way to handle it. I will be a big time supporter, endorser, promoter of whatever this new league's going to do. I'm also a big time supporter, promoter, and endorser of Lonzo.
Awesome idea for soccer. There's a song about it for NFL and NBA. It's called Dreamer. You should look it up. The Charlotte Hornets defeated the LA Lakers last night. Yep, that's it. 100-97, led by Miles Bridges, 29, and LaMelo Ball is 27 points. Ball also had 6 assists and 5 boards. No, it's Dreamer, you stupid little dreamer. That's just the part that popped in my head. While Mark Williams first came back from the negated trade to LA, like I'm still going to finish this, saw him put up 10 points and 9 boards. LeBron James with 10 of 22 for 26, but missed a game-tying 3 with seconds left to force overtime. So I only got through 1. Whatever. I still got through it. Tune in Saturday at 11:30 a.m. as the Furman Paladins take on the VMI Keydets. It's Furman versus VMI right here on your home for Furman Paladins basketball. The Fan, upstate. Bill Brooks just said scooching.
It starts out as a nuisance, and then you just put up with it. But then that awful joint pain impacts everything in your life. Walking, climbing stairs, even getting in and out of the car. Hey, it's Charlie James, and I'm talking about that.
The way relegation works does work in soccer, and it's amazing. It's just will never work in the NBA. It will never work in the NFL. Just won't. And a lot of it has to do with minor league. Baseball could work because you got a really big minor league system. You don't in the NFL. You can't say the UFL is something that you could use for relegation. You can't do for NBA. What are you going to use the G League? I don't think so. I do appreciate change, but sometimes things are okay the way they are. Sometimes they are. You still have you figured out the song that I was singing?
Dreamweaver.
No, I said Dreamer. It's by Supertramp, I believe.
Somebody made Freebird into an EDM song.
Okay, that
I
will
kind of like it a lot.
No, that will make you want to go out and hurt somebody. That's
It's hockey. It's for the hockey game.
okay. All right, I suppose. There was subliminal messages saying to punch somebody. I don't, probably not a good idea there. Okay, all right. After the show's over, I'm going to have to play that song for you because you don't know what it is. And it was out before you were born, so I get it. But it's also it was a big hit for them, I'm pretty sure. Then you put your head in your hands. Oh, no, that doesn't ring a bell? Okay. Okay, so I'm finding it hard to believe that you were ever,
what's it called?
that you ever did a classic rock station during a time
I may know
and
it,
not
just
play.
don't know. Who's it by?
Okay. I believe it's Supertramp.
Supertramp?
I believe so.
I don't think I know it, honestly. Lonzo hit me with a reference to Supertramp during the break. And I have to say, a little disappointed in myself. I don't know it. I
See, I think you do. I think you also picked a part of the song that you were listening to.
I skipped ahead like 4 times.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't think I know it. Which is rare. Usually you kind of give me that old school soul sound.
Now you know how Mario feels with half the references you throw out.
Don't get me wrong. I was 100% about to bring Mario in and say, Mario, I don't know how you feel anytime that I talk, because Lonzo just hit me with a reference before my time that I got completely stumped by. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Mario Heron, a.k.a. Hating Ass Mario, NBA analyst, NFL analyst, executive producer of BetMGM tonight, 7 to 11 p.m. on this and find Odyssey stations everywhere on the BetMGM network. Sup, dog?
Just finding out who Supertramp is, doing a quick Google right now. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I have not heard of any of these songs, but
You've never heard The Long Way Home? You take the long way home. You've never heard that song before?
No,
Goodbye,
but
stranger.
Oh, I hate that
for
song.
what people also search for, I see Pink Floyd right under there. My dad's the biggest Pink Floyd fan of all
Oh, you'll
time.
like Supertramp. Oh, I mean, it's not Pink Floyd, but you'll be into it. You'll be into it.
Yeah,
You
Pink
take the
Floyd's pretty
long
nice.
way home. You take the long way home.
Okay, not the
Still
best
hard.
rendition, but it's still it's.
No, I've never sang the best rendition, but you got the point.
Well, it's one of those songs that you can't sing without the music because the
That's also
music
true.
it's so much better.
That's also true. Hey, Naz Mario from the BetMGM network. I'm gonna get it right eventually. I want you to know
You did it once today, right?
100% called them the San Diego Chargers this morning. So
Did you really?
yeah. We were talking about the fact that the Chargers are going down to Sao Paulo on September 5th. They are going to be the first NFL franchise to play on 5 of the 7 continents. I then forgot that Africa was a continent and
Yes.
called them the San Diego Chargers twice.
Well, the San Diego thing, he wrote it on the Sports Flash that I read because he writes it because he's a journalism guy and he likes to write stuff. So, and I'm going, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to say this, Hayden as Mario. If there's ever a day that you're going to get me, today's the day because I'm getting my brain's kicking my own ass today. That's all there is to it.
If it helps, there's one time when we were doing the Bolt Crew podcast. It's available wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple.
Attaboy. I've
There was
taught you
one
well.
time we said San Diego Chargers on it, and like you would not believe that was our most commented post because everyone kept commenting, "You got it wrong. You got it wrong. It's not San Diego anymore." And then it like turned into a debate of why they left San Diego, all in the chat. We're like, whoa, well, one mistake really just led to a fire.
Yeah, welcome to hosting, buddy. That's how the game gets played, pal. I don't know what to tell you. That's how it goes. All right, we got a
Yeah, we
bunch.
can't do a "What did I get wrong" segment on this show.
It just end up being
It'd
be the last hour of the show every day. It'd just be the last hour.
Fun.
Yeah. What do you want? All right, we got a lot of stuff we got to get to here, Hayden Asmari. I want to start with this one, and you and I kind of briefly talked about it. I was on your show, BetMGM tonight on Tuesday, and we got to talking about the Four Nations face-off. I said this earlier today. I was genuinely struggling to come up with the last time that I was this excited about an individual game, not involving one of my teams, obviously, right? The last time. And the only thing that I could come up with was the gold medal game from the Olympics last year with LeBron and Steph and the fellas going out there to try to bring gold back to the U.S. where it belongs. Same thing here. I canceled a date with my wife to stay home and watch this game tonight. Buddy, I am jacked up. This Four Nations face-off has not only been incredible, not only has been incredible, Mario, but it made the NBA look, frankly, quite silly in the lead up to an execution of their entire All-Star weekend. Where do you fall on the Four Nations face-off? And as an NBA guy, what were your thoughts on, in my opinion, the NBA flat out getting embarrassed by the NHL last week?
It led to a point where I'm a big NBA guy, obviously, and I'm the most casual NHL fan of all time. Literally do not tune in until the playoffs, and then I do like the fastest catch-up ever on what's going on, and then I watch it. This past weekend, I did not even care a lick about anything happening with the NBA All-Star Game. All I wanted to watch was Four Nations. All I did was at a bar was standing up, chanting USA, USA. I felt like I was in Rocky. I don't know what was going on. I was just excited. I was just bleeding red, white, and blue. It was just pumped. It's a genius thing that NHL has done. I love that they've done it. I love the buy-in from all the players. I love that even next year they're talking about expanding it even more with more countries. It's been a home run for hockey. And it's great for hockey because you're getting the brand out even more. Because I really do believe, even after this game, people are going to stay around in hockey. People are going to stay around and tune in because of all the top athletes, guys that are playing in this and go, oh, I want more of this action. And hockey guys, every single week, every single game, lay it all out, man. They go all out. They only play 20 minutes on the ice. That's all they got. So they go balls to the walls the whole time. It's amazing. On the NBA side for All-Star, I've came around to this point, and I don't know if it's the most popular thing, but I think we're all forgetting that the NBA All-Star Weekend is not for guys like us. It's not. It is for ages, 6 through 18, maybe? And I, called my brother and was talking to him, called with my little nephew. I was like, hey, did you watch the All-Star Weekend? I'm actually curious, doing a little, journalism, if you will. And he goes, yeah, Eli loved it. He told me he wants to be Wemby. And he's going to be as tall as Wemby. And I go, well, his mom's 5'2". You're 5'9". It's probably not in the gene pool, but, he can shoot for it. But he enjoyed it, and he liked it. And he was talking about basketball. He wanted to go shoot hoops outside, even though there's ice on the ground in Indiana. And I thought, all right, then maybe we're being too hard on this. Maybe we're all crapping on it really hard because we're not the target audience. And the target audience is actually liking it, but that target audience doesn't have a Twitter account or doesn't have an Instagram, can't create its own reel saying how much they love it, that the Kevin Hart was killing it with jokes, that, the dunk contest with Matt McClung was insane. Jumps over a car, oh my gosh. They don't have the access to do that. So maybe we're a little off on that. Is it still a problem? Yeah. Are we gonna get the days of guys going balls to the wall in the All-Star game in the fourth quarter? That's probably gone. Can the world versus USA maybe work for the All-Star game? Let's try it. Why not? Nothing else is working. Also, maybe let's just try not doing a draft, not doing, young guys coming up versus the All-Stars. How about we just try the good old East versus West again and just go from there? Like that's the thing. Every time this happens, Mike, I kind of just miss play the hits, East versus West.
Play the
What's
hits,
wrong with
baby.
that? Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. And I'll tell you what I love about the hockey side of it, because we got a few more things I want to get to here on the show with Hayden S. Mario from the BetMGM Network. The other side I like is exactly what you said. Hockey, to me, is a sport that if you want people to love it, they have to experience it. You can't explain it. You can't walk it. They have to see it. They have to experience it. They have to learn it. And when I've got the Canucks and the Yanks dropping gloves at center ice 3 seconds after the puck does, and then again 3 seconds later, and then again 3 seconds later, what it creates for me, if I am maybe like a non-hockey guy, is something that goes, you had my attention, but now I'm bought in. And then they experience the hockey, and then they watch the hockey, and then they learn the hockey. And once they learn the hockey, now all of a sudden it's a sport to them. It's not just, I'm going to tune in to watch some Canucks and some Yanks drop and throw hands. Now it's like, also this game's pretty badass. The NHL, I'm going to quote Rich Eisen on this, the NHL cracked the code. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, perfect time to take a sip.
Well, I didn't know you were done. I thought there was more to that. I thought I had a little bit of time there.
Hey, in his defense, you were rolling. When you're rolling, it might you won't take a breath for like 20 minutes. So
exactly.
I mean, we both have worked with you. So
yeah, when you're good at what you do, you're good at what you do.
Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just we know it. Once you get going, it's going to be a little bit.
It was a very abrupt stop. If I'd like to add there too, it was very abrupt. I was like, oh, that's the end of the quote. I thought there was gonna be more there.
Joey B just chat real quick, because I do think this is an element of it. Joey B just popped in and said, you know who it wasn't great for? Boston, who loses Charlie McAvoy for the rest of the season. And I don't disagree. It sucks for Boston. But here's the thing. This is the response to that for me. Maybe it does. It does suck for Boston. You just lost one of the better players in the NHL, maybe for the rest of the season. We'll find out. He's obviously out for tonight's matchup. The NHL is going to gain more viewers from this than anything that the NHL has done in literally a decade or more. The NHL has not allowed their players to play in the Olympics for 2 decades now. Their players aren't involved in other sports in other ways. The NHL is going to get more viewers out of this than anything they've done maybe in my entire lifetime, Mario. And while it sucks for the Boston Bruins, if it costs them Charlie McAvoy, but they bring home the trophy and everybody in America gets to beat the chest and start screaming, bleep Canada like a South Park episode because it's our sport now. Now, all of a sudden, American fans are going to jump in, because if there's one thing you and I both learned about sports, we love a winner above everything else. We love a winner even if he killed a guy, allegedly, Ray Lewis.
Yeah, like we'll get behind it. Not even kidding. But the thing, too, I'll add on top of it, yes, that stinks that there's an injury happen, but you mentioned the more eyeballs comes more money, comes more revenue, comes more ads, comes more popularity, more guys, big all-star players on magazines doing ads. What if you see Connor McDavid doing an ad for Skims, and see you later, SGA. That could, who knows what's going to happen with it. The more eyes, the better for this sport. And, they could have a tough time, not even a tough time, but NHL playoffs is fantastic, but guess who it competes against? The NBA playoffs. That's really hard. When the MLB has their playoffs, yeah, it's football season. Football takes up a lot of their time, but that's the only sport that's really in playoffs at that moment. Is October, and people love it. NHL doesn't have that kind of pleasure of when it's playoff time. It's the sole focus of what's going on. They have to compete with someone else. And in down year in the NBA, where everyone's complaining about the ratings and complaining about the style of play, you even have one of the best defenders of this generation complaining that, there's no basketball anymore. It's just who can shoot better threes. We have all this happening. The time is now to take advantage of it. And they're doing it in a spectacular fashion. And by the way, as this is all happening, the talent level in the NHL is exceptional. And they have a young stud that's supposed to be the next Gretzky, that's supposed to, take the mantle, if you will, from McDavid when he gets older, who just took it from Sidney Crosby, and Connor Bedard that's on the rise. And guess what market he's in? Chicago. That's perfect. That's a big market, man. You can market the living crap out of that. So look, the injury sucks, but in a long term, more money's coming, a bigger audience is coming, more ads are coming. All that's great and fantastic stuff for the sport. And hopefully they can build on it. And gosh darn it, guys, go USA, baby.
There it is.
No maple syrup. No.
All right, real quick, because I wanted to get to this too. On Tuesday, I got asked about I didn't think it was a hot take. Apparently it's a hot take. Horvey said it was a hot take. I think PJ said it was a hot take. I've had a bunch of people on Twitter coming after me. It was a hot take. I'm not going to play the whole response, but here is a little bit of that, and then I want your reaction. That's for both. Janai Broome is a monster. Here's my thing. I did this on my show today. I did it on this show last night. I did it on the weekend show last weekend, and I'll do it again right now. Janai Broome is a dog. He is the man. He is college basketball this year. I want you to tell me the thing that Cooper Flagg does better than Janai Broome. I don't really think there's anything, with maybe the exception of Cooper Flagg is a little bit more of a greedy outside the three-point line defender. Like, he's the guy that's going to go chase down loose balls. Not something we've seen out of Janai Broome. But I also have to point out that Janai Broome's been on a bum wheel all season long and is still very much in contention for Player of the Year awards. And as much as this is the nasty little part that I know a lot of people don't want to get into, I've said this before too. The Southeastern Conference this year in college basketball, boys, is having the best year that any conference has ever had in any sport in the history of conferences playing sports. All right. You said you got an issue. Is it Janai Broome? Is it Cooper Flagg? Is it the fact that the SEC is having the best individual sports season of any conference in the history of conferences playing sports? What was it? Because you rolled your eyes at me Tuesday. You told me yesterday you got to take. What is it?
One, it hurts that the SEC has taken.
You agree
over
with that, though,
basketball.
don't you?
I do agree,
Yep.
which hurts as an ACC guy with a North Carolina fan, because they kind of always owned college basketball. That was always like the breaking call. Now they're just sad. Broome versus Flagg. Broome is by far a better defender. He's by far a better rebounder. His passing, I think, is a little underrated. He had a very great pass against Arkansas last night where the window was extremely tight. If that was in Mahomes, though, it'd be ESPN top 10 the next day. But Flagg's shot creation ability and his ability to attack downhill, I think, is very unique and better than Broome's, and it's going to really benefit him in the long run. His shooting percentage is also, from the distance and free throw line, is better than Broome's. Flagg's ceiling, I think, is the thing that gets me on that convo. It's where what he can be when he's 22 is insane. It's wild. I mean, I go back to Team USA practicing it over the summer, and you always hear about there's always a young guy that stands out, and the guy that stood out was Cooper Flagg. It's what all the pros were saying. Ant, Durant, Curry, LeBron, they're all like, Cooper Flagg, man, that guy's kind of special. And then you even ask the coaches, like, dude, he was unfearful. He attacked him, which is crazy. Because if I was 18 years old and I had to go to a Team USA camp, I am absolutely pooping down my legs. And I am probably throwing up at every point because I'm going, holy hell, I have to just go guard Kevin Durant. I'm going to have to go guard AD. I'm going to have to go guard Curry on a switch. I'm going to have a panic attack. But he didn't have that, man. The defensive stuff, like Johnny Broome's defensive stuff is insane. His shot block percentage is top 20 in the country. You have just 2.7 blocks per game. With a young guy like Flagg, that stuff always comes later, right? Defensive basketball, for people that probably don't think much of it, it's actually really complicated. And this is going to sound even crazier, but in the NBA, it gets more complicated because it's more of what can you live with and what do you just want to try to take away. And you see rookies a lot of time, and young guys just get really taken advantage of that and get exposed very, very quickly. And you can't hide on the floor. It's very hard to hide when there's just only 10 guys out there, and there's smart enough players where they go, we're going to set screens until you switch on one of our best offensive players, and then we're going to attack the living crap out of you. And if you come for a double, we're going to swing the ball to the other side, and boom, there's a three. That's going to happen to Flag probably his first couple years until he figures it out. The exception to that is Wembanyama, and that's just because he's a generational talent. So I still lean Flag over Broome. But that being said, if you're a team like coming up in this draft that, let's say you're like a Grizzlies type, I feel like that'd be a good example, even though they're really young. A Broome would be perfect for you because he's a mature, older prospect. And those guys you've seen the NBA constantly kind of pick up right away and are able to adapt really quickly. Where Flag, yes, he's going to be exceptional right away, but there's going to be a lot of rookie mistakes that you see or just bad shots in tough situations because he's going to be forced into because he'll be the go-to scorer.
Don't disagree. I just think you're underselling what Johni Broome can do, which is everything you said from everywhere on the court. And I do think I will say I agree. I think Cooper Flag is better at I said there were a couple of things he might be a little bit better at. I do think putting the head down and getting to the rack is one of those things for sure. But I think the difference is guys can play up on Cooper Flag because of that. Johni Broome can do that. He can also knock down a shot from anywhere on the damn floor, which means you can't just get in his grill and play totally physical defense. On top of that, if Johni Broome gets to a spot where he goes down low, you can't collapse on him because he is definitely a better distributor of the basketball in traffic than Cooper Flag is, and that's what makes him deadly to me.
Yes, and that is an important factor. Is like if you collapse on him, and that's a very scary thing to do, right? Is to be a great passer from the post. That is a very underrated skill. That's something that Jokic gets credited for that does better than anyone. Is you can't double him because he sees above it and he's able to make that pass. Not the extra pass that you see coming, it's the one that you don't see coming that he's able to make. And I will give Broome this too. You know, we mentioned that Flag's kind of better on the point of attack. There are moments where like Flag, I think, struggles to kind of control his body. And that's completely to, hey, I'm 19, 18 years old. I grew really quickly, and I'm still finding my feet sometimes. That's why I always point that to, where it's like, oh, he can't control his body. That's because, dude, the guy's still freaking finding it. And he's still a kid. He's not a grown man yet. And, you know, he's probably going to grow another inch or two when he's in the NBA because it's, you know, just of his age. Where Broome, when he attacks or when he's around the basket, he has better body control. And, you know, he's a little bit stronger with the basketball. Again, just stuff that happens when, as you get older, you get along the way.
Hating ass Mario Heron is an NBA analyst, an NFL analyst, and a misser of most references. He's also the EP of BetMGM tonight on the BetMGM Network, 7 to 11 p.m. on this and fine Odyssey stations everywhere. Joins us every Thursday at 9 o'clock to talk a little ball. Big dog, appreciate you. You're the best.
Of course, make sure you guys stay tuned tonight. John Sally, former NBA champion, on with us tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. So it's going to be really exciting to get some NBA takes from him. So make sure you guys stay tuned, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Look at you with the get. I'm here for it. See you next week, pal.
See ya.
Hating ass Mario Fight Club. Next, Rashad Beard to wrap up the show. All coming up on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Nice job, buddy.
Thank you. And thank you, as always. By the way, Fight Club, I'm really, really jealous because UFC just announced that Patty versus Mike Chandler. And holy crap, is Patty going to get absolutely killed?
Oh.
So I saw that. I didn't think it was real.
Yeah, it was real. With Volk versus Lopez for that title. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was saying I didn't think it was real. I got Pimbleton in that.
Do you really?
It's a passing of the torch. That guy's amazing how he can balloon up so much and then lose all the weight, which is I'm jealous. But yeah, it's
gonna hurt him.
I like him. UFC needs him. They need him to win.
They do. I worry about his striking.
They don't have that guy anymore. That guy that talks a lot and
that guy that talks a lot
and then gets out there and does it in the octagon.
Gosh, whoever do you mean?
Well, there's been a couple people.
I do feel bad that Holloway goes up in weight and Ella just follows him, just vacates the belt and moves up too. And it's like, God, the guy you can't beat just decides to move up in weight.
Why is he? I mean, I guess he's saying that there's nobody else that can beat him in that weight. So, I mean, vacating, that doesn't happen very often, does it? Vacating the belt to move up? Usually they try to fight at both weights.
Yeah, that's the part that's kind of weird. And also, I feel like there's one more fight in there that he could have done in that division before moving up. I think he had one more in him. But what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Says
he'll
every
lose.
person who's hired me.
Yeah, he'll lose to Oliveira. It's all right. All right, I'll see you, fellas. I'm
All
gonna
right,
go
buddy. Thank you.
Do
See
something.
you, pal.
Love you.
Love you too, buddy. Oh, Mario. What a legend. What an icon.
I could talk some UFC with Mario. I mean, you know.
But you can have Mario on to talk UFC if you want to.
Except we're not talking UFC in the Fight Club. So, I mean.
Not with that attitude, we're not.
Well, we just did. Stream exclusive.
That's true. That's true.
I did see the Chandler and Pembleton thing, and I thought it wasn't real.
Thought it wasn't real?
Dude, how many times do you see that? I mean, you need multiple sources and need it confirmed by
I'm good with that.
written letter and all kinds of stuff before you believe half the stuff you see anymore. I was like, yeah, that's not real. And I just kept on going.
That's fair.
Just like the thing that just popped up on my screen from someone named WrestleMania.com or WrestleLamia.com. I'm sorry. WWE star Logan Paul has been banned from visiting Egypt for life. See, I don't know. It might be real. It may not be real, or it may be someone like you who absolutely hates the guy. So you're just throwing, but you wouldn't throw stuff up there like that. That's not real.
No, of course not.
SI Wrestling has just reported, though. It's weird that we're getting ready to talk wrestling and a bunch of stuff just popped up. Goldberg will get in the ring for the final time this summer.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. Can't wait.
Who's he going against?
My patience. My ability to stay awake.
Anyway, got to be Cena, doesn't it?
Oh, God, no. Please, no.
Have they ever went
Don't
against
send
each
Cena out
other?
with Goldberg.
Oh, come on. That's got Saudi written all over it. Doesn't it?
I know you can't see my face, but I just roll my eyes.
Yeah,
very
well, I
hard.
know.
They went all the way around.
Yeah, because you know it does.
Like a cartoon
It
character.
definitely has it written all over it.
Ugh. I hate it so much.
Welcome into the Fight Club. Before we get to the Fight Club, I want to invite you, please join the stream, because during the stream, Mario and I just had a discussion about UFC and the fact that Pembleton will be fighting Chandler, and I didn't think it was real, and he's telling me it is real. And then Rob and I were just talking about something that just popped up on my X feed, which is wasn't on my list, but we got to talk about it a little bit. Goldberg will get his final match in the ring because he never got to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And when, last time it was pretty bad. James on the stream saying bitter Brett. Yeah, Brett's never going to get over that. Who do you want to see Goldberg wrestle in his final match? Oh, I don't want to see Goldberg, and that is exactly what your voice sounds
That's
like.
exactly how I'd say it too.
Yes.
Goldberg will be wrestling my patience. Here's the thing. Bill Goldberg, when I was a kid, was one of the single most exciting things that has ever happened in professional wrestling. Bill Goldberg, when I was a kid, made wrestling fun, and I was all in for that. Bill Goldberg was a blast to watch. He provided, with the streak, one of the coolest things that I've ever gotten to watch as a kid. Here's the thing I didn't know as a kid. He wasn't that good when he was good. Now he's definitely not that good.
You know what?
I'm out.
Neither was Hulk Hogan. There's quite a few wrestlers who were not that good. They were not. But according to what Michael Cole said on the Logan Paul podcast, it doesn't matter because I don't know if you saw any of it. I know it was on Logan Paul, and you hate him too.
Correct. He's a terrible person.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Like as a person, he's a bad person.
All right. I don't know him personally. Apparently you do. You are the Stephen A. Smith.
If you go
of
out and
radio.
act and do things as a bad person, even if you're acting, you're a bad person.
Okay, so a lot of bad actors out there. So Michael Cole was on Impulsive, I believe is the name of the podcast with Logan Paul, and talked about a lot of stuff, including he said we're an entertainment product and it's emotional connection, whether you're a bad guy or a good guy, that makes the difference. It's one of the reasons we're on Netflix. Especially with Netflix, we have so many new viewers tuning in everywhere. We travel. People come up to me and say, I've never watched WWE before. I never understood what it was. I thought it was just a bunch of old men running around in tights. Now they're realizing it's actually an episodic television show, week in and week out. So he went on to say that it's not professional wrestling. That is an episodic TV show. My question for you is that bad that Michael Cole, the head announcer for WWE, been with the company for 28 years, is saying this? Does that hurt the product? Does it help the product? Or is that where we live now as far as perception of professional wrestling?
Look, I don't have an issue with it. How many of us had our opinions about professional wrestling change? Some of us when we were young and we loved it. Now we're not so much. Listen, there's a lot about professional wrestling that as I have grown and developed and become, Liberob the Woke Warrior, there's a lot of ugly side to professional wrestling that has disillusioned me to it. Hulk Hogan is in that mix. And I'm not talking about his political slant. I'm talking about the fact that he was a pretty bad person his whole career. And then also the racist stuff.
Probably some actors that you watch all the time on TV and movies, not good people. Some of them
disagree.
have killed people. I mean, there's things like that go on.
I don't disagree, which is
they
why
beat their wives. They do a bunch of things. They say things they shouldn't say, but you go and see those movies.
I don't disagree, which is why I still watch professional wrestling, even knowing the, pardon the phrase, dark side of the ring. I still watch it. And there are times, like when Logan Paul's out there, that I have to go, even if I hate it, separate art from artist. That's kind of a necessary requirement. There are some people who cross that line. I'm not watching Logan Paul. If I hope I don't get in trouble for this. WWE comes to town, Logan Paul's out there, I'm going to be the dude that sits on his butt. I will not boo. I will not cheer. I will not react. I will not hold a sign. I will do nothing, because that's how you make somebody go away.
And I will say, if we have the opportunity to interview Logan Paul, unless you put your foot down and find a way to where my name's on the show, we're not interviewing him. I would love to interview Logan
Honestly,
Paul.
I probably would.
Even if it meant you weren't in the room for it. I would love to interview him.
I'd 100% say, bring him in. You do a podcast with him, because I got no interest.
He's an amazing wrestler. He's probably better than your favorite wrestler of all time.
Don't care, because he's a bad person.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So
all right.
There
So
are lines.
the next movie you watch, I want a list. I'll make a list of the actors and what they've done off screen, and you
let's
can
be
tell
clear.
me why you're
Hang
not
on.
being hypocritical.
Hang on, because of the things that have been done and the level at which they have been done repeatedly and a career built off of it. I'm not saying that it's like you're either a good person or Rob Brown doesn't participate. What I'm saying is there are levels, there are limits. And when you're a bad person and you go out and celebrate it and go, hell yeah, I am this, not as a character, as a person.
So you're saying you're selective. So it's okay for some, but not for others. That's fine.
No,
I mean, that's
okay.
That's how people do
No.
things.
Let me repeat what I just said, because you ignored it to then do the thing again.
I did not. It didn't explain away what I just said.
When someone acts that way and then they go out and they utilize it, celebrate it, promote that about themselves as a way to make money, buddy, that's where I'm at. And that's what this cat's done. So, yeah, I understand, like, there's going to be a lot of people out there in the world that I don't like them as people, but I still have to, they're still going to be a part of my entertainment, my art, my life, whatever. When you get to the point that they begin to celebrate it and repeat it, etc., and utilize it to promote themselves, that's where I get out.
All right, we're going to move on from this. And I will say that one of the worst things about you standing up is we can't try to watch each other crack,
buddy,
because we can't see each other's face, and that takes some of the fun out of it. Because
buddy,
we are having fun, by the way. Don't. Oh no, they're fighting again. No, we're having a debate. All right. I was going to talk about the setup for Ludwig Kaiser versus Logan Paul, but since you don't want to talk anymore Logan Paul, I think that's going to happen at WrestleMania. Apparently, that's when you're going to go make a sandwich or something. Ricky Saints' first opponent is going to be Wes Lee. I I'm really looking forward to this.
I am too. I think that match can absolutely go.
Can Saints keep up with Wesley?
Number one, much like with the San Diego Chargers, it's going to take me a very long time to get the name right. It just is. The answer to me is yes. I think he can. I honestly think Ricky Saints. Also, drop the S. Can he just be Ricky Saint? It's a better name.
It's one of your favorite and most hated words all at the same time. Saints. So I mean,
as a wrestler, I think the dude can be very good, but I think he's one of these cats that is going to be better as an entertainer than a wrestler, better with a mic, better with the promos, better with the emotion, better as a storyteller. And I think that's where he makes the money. I'm intrigued to see where he goes with this. And I will say on top of that, part of the reason why is, let's be real, my dude's got an axe to grind. He is one of these cats that didn't leave AEW to go to WWE because it's a bigger company, more money, better opportunity. He left because there was a bunch of very clearly a bunch of headbutting and disagreements and bad blood behind the scenes. And he wanted out and then got the offer. I think he comes out to prove that he is a fantastic pro wrestler. And I think you're going to get a slapper.
If you listen to anything that The Undertaker's been saying the last couple of weeks, he's big time endorsed by The Undertaker. Ricky Saints helped The Undertaker at training for matches and also helped train Michelle McCool before she returned. And this was even before he became a wrestler, and he gave him some help to get him started. So that's when you got the backing of The Undertaker, that helps. Speaking of that, maybe you need to now rescind your distaste, your disdain, your smirks every time the CW is brought up, because
they're kind of doing real good right now.
NXT is killing it right now on CW, even to the point where it's the old-fashioned wrestling. Things are cut off at the end and you don't know what happened because they stick to the television time, which is, so you've got an influx of AEW talent with Saints and others, and you've got TNA coming in, which has got to be helping that brand also. Lexus King has challenged Moose, who is the X Division champion.
And is a dude, by the way.
He is. Also, I believe either married or their boyfriend and girlfriend with Jordan Grace. Not Jordan Grace. Oh man. Anyway, someone help me. Her name escapes me. I can see her. She's buff and she's the stuff. Also the Hardys. I know you don't. We're going down another road here. Hardys are going to be on NXT next week.
Okay. Like, all right.
There's just a lot of.
Okay, hang on. Wait. I put the Hardys in with Goldberg. It's not that I dislike. I mean, obviously Jeff's got issues, and I just don't trust that Jeff has worked through the issues. Jeff is one of those cats that I'm like Jeff by himself, I'm not going out of my way for.
I don't know why
Jeff
I second guess myself. It is Jordan Grace.
Jeff by himself is a guy I'm not responding. Prove to me, because he just keeps going back. And I understand relapsing is tough, and I understand it's a mental disorder, and that's all well and good. But also you got to do better. Matt, the problem is the dude is not broken, delete like a gimmick. I mean, physically broken. The man can't walk to the ring and make me believe it.
He's also a friend of the show. Friend
of the show. Love him to death.
Hopefully he wins next week. I was wrong. Jordan Grace not with Moose. She's with and I just read it there. Jonathan Grissom. Okay. I'm trying to get a lot of things in here because Rashad, that's his name, is coming up. One more thing.
You're just having trouble with names.
No. It's because I really am trying to squeeze a lot of stuff in here.
Go ahead. I'll shut up.
LFG is it's shoot tough enough. It's tough enough as a shoot. Okay. It's realistic. It's behind the scenes. Tough enough. They had him do a bunch of extra stuff and run with this alligator or whatever kind of thing. They are actually learning the business. I've watched one episode so far. It's on A&W and I love it. You need to check it out if you're not watching.
I've only seen clips of it. The clips I've seen of it, I'm all in. The clips I've seen of it with Bubba Ray, there was one where he got into it with a dude yesterday, and he's like, "Yo, why are you being disrespectful?" The kid's like, "Oh, you shoot my hand." He's like, "Yo, I'm a wrestler, but what you'll learn about wrestlers very quickly is that we're also psychologists." And I see your nervous tics, and I was like, "Oh,
yeah." And then when the guy walked away, they settle for a second. It's like, the second part, when he did that was great.
Yeah.
So, so they're so good, you don't know if they're really mad or not.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I kind of dig it, to be honest. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us in the next segment. We'll check in on the Panthers offseason when we come back. The Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate. Again, mad therapy, which I respect immensely. I am in therapy. It's my favorite thing.
You need some after today.
I might. It is not an inability, capability, or unwillingness to move on from someone's past. That's not it. There is a difference between someone has a past, has made a mistake, has been cognizant of it, has been willing to genuinely put in the work to move past it, versus someone who monetizes it. Right? There's the difference.
Well, the thing about it, though, is the WWE doesn't have the same opinion that you do. They have marketed him, which they should, because they're trying to get all his viewers, which is a good thing. And also, whether you like him or not, dude has put in the work and he can wrestle.
I'm not disagreeing with any of that. I put keeping him on the roster in the exact same place that I put taking billions of dollars to do shows in a place in Saudi Arabia that the women cannot just wear wrestling gear because they'll throw them off of buildings. Yeah, I'm out. Sorry. Like, that's not it for me.
You know, this is not good because usually when we fight, then we talk wrestling. But since we're fighting about wrestling, I don't know. We'll talk video games.
Let's talk about Bryce Young. I know we're all in on the same page. Rashad Beard, what's up, big fella?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing?
I'm good. Hanging in there.
Thanks for coming by. Appreciate you making some space for us in the very busy schedule.
It's funny. I said, I wonder if it's snowing in Charlotte like it is here.
Is that why you had to go? Is it snowing up there?
Yeah, it is snowing, but it's weird because yesterday it was clear and school was canceled. Today it's actually snowing and we just got a 2-hour delay. So very weird how they're handling business around these parts.
By the way, same thing happened here. There was like a spattering of snow yesterday, and they were closing schools early and delaying and everything. Today we heard nothing, and then we look out, and there's still, I don't know, at least a half inch of snow out, not on the pavement, but on the grass. So, did you guys get any warning at all up there that it was going to snow? Because I don't think we got anything here.
We did. I heard more than what we got initially. So I'm these weathercasters, man. They've been wrong for quite a bit. The only job where you don't get held accountable for being wrong. But yeah, I was expecting a lot more snow than what came down.
Here's the thing. I'm sure one of the models was correct because they do like 15 models, and then they just picked the wrong one. That's all. It's not their fault.
Happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we dome the world, Rob?
Should we dome the suit of armor around the world?
Like the stadiums? That way we don't have to deal with snow?
I mean, you can't, but you can dome every NFL stadium so that would you trust Patrick Mahomes to go out there and throw the football in this? No.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, because he can't do it at his top tier level.
I would absolutely.
Can't do it in the snow.
Because it's not snowing anymore. I think it's pretty clear out there now. I think, although, are those snow clouds? Rob doesn't know what a snow cloud is, Rashad. I keep trying to explain to him how you can look at the sky and know that's a snow cloud. Actually, right now, it's just nothing but gray out there.
Yeah.
I'm getting all my fight out, and then I'm gonna sit back and watch you guys talk. Deontay says it's snowing in Virginia. Yeah, up there. We have a host that used to be here on this station who moved to Detroit, which we thought was hilarious because he's from Florida. And apparently it flooded in Detroit and then it froze over.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's just, so be glad you're not there. Although I've often thought, I'm glad I'm not in Michigan. So, I mean, but that's just me.
Nope. Listen, that out there is about all I'm going to be able to handle.
Ice in Greenville, North Carolina. I'd rather have snow than ice any day.
Yeah, well, I'll put ice in a glass of bourbon and nowhere else. Final segment of the radio program here on a Thursday morning. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on the radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is Lonzo, and joining us now, ordinarily does so an hour before, but just absolute weather chaos across The Carolinas meeting up in Charlotte, North Carolina. They got a little snow, had to adjust some schedules. Rashad Beard is not just an excellent coverer of the Carolina Panthers. He's also a dad and had the dad stuff, but he made some time to jump in for the final segment. What's up, big dog?
What's going on, guys? Man, happy to be here. Played in some snow yesterday, so that was pretty cool.
I like that. Rashad, I like the snow for about 9 to 12 minutes, and then I'm ready to move on.
All right, really quick. Played in the snow. How does Rashad play in the snow?
Hey, so you got to understand, I used to live in upstate New York, so like I used to really play in the snow.
I get it. I'm from Ohio, so I definitely get it.
Yeah, a couple snow angels made some snowball fights, a couple things like that. Then went back inside. Not enough to do some real damage, but had some fun.
This is good. So you covered the hair when you do the snow angel, because I'm trying to picture what the.
Sure. Yeah. Everything covered for sure.
Yeah. I walked outside.
You wouldn't understand, Rob, with your short hair.
I walked outside earlier for 15 seconds. I came back in. I was friggin' miserable. Like, I'm good. I'm all right. Got a heater inside. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Make sure you check out and subscribe to their YouTube channel as well at Panther Nation Podcast. Let's start with the open-ended, bud. Where we at? What we talking about? I've been checking in on the pod every now and then, listen to the mocks, listen to the breakdowns. If I said open mic take over for 2 minutes, what's your thing right now?
Yeah, a couple interesting coaching changes that happened over the past week. We got in a new strength and conditioning coach, which is what I think is probably one of the better moves made this offseason. John Hinks, who comes from the Minnesota Vikings, highly touted, worked with the Philadelphia Eagles, also has a Super Bowl ring attached to his name with the Eagles. So I would think that that's probably one of the better hires. I'm excited about that because, listen, we've been dealing with a lot of injuries the Carolina Panthers have over the past couple of years. And for us to get a new strength and conditioning coach, and not only that, bring in Denny Kellington, who is also the vice president of player health and performance. That's going to hopefully reduce some of the issues that we've been having from an injury standpoint, because I got to be honest with you, Rob, we probably have one of the worst, health industries, and all our injuries are terrible, bro. We had one of the worst training staffs in the history of the league. And so we've got that fixed, and we got strength and conditioning coaching here, a new vice president of player health and performance, and then also a new offensive assistant, Keyshawn Coleman. A couple interesting moves that were made in the coaching room. So I like it.
Rashad, I don't think a lot of fans understand when you hear strength and conditioning coach. It's like, all right, guys, going to go in there and kind of teach the boys how to properly weightlift, I guess. It really is more about making sure guys are taking care of their body in a way that prevents injury. One of my big issues right now as a Saints fan is the folks that are running the health and safety and well-being in New Orleans for both the Saints and the Pelicans. Bro, we might be the most injured pair of teams in any city in America, and yet we just keep re-upping with the same staff to the point that it's driving me up a wall. I don't think people really know how big of a deal it is to have somebody that's going to come in there not just to make the boys stronger, but to make sure they are as resilient as possible. This could theoretically be like a turning point of one hire that could keep a JC Horn healthy down the line, for instance.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly right. So I'm excited about that. I think, there's a lot of casual fans that don't really care about this kind of stuff. But if you're really a fan of the game and you're really a fan of the Panthers, this should make you excited. And it's definitely something I covered on my show on Tuesday. And I think a lot of my listeners were excited about this hire as well. So I like this. This is a really good move for the Panthers. And to see that the better half of the opposite half of the coaching staff get, renewed, right? We're getting some new guys in the building. This is really good. We're keeping the main guys, obviously, Canales, Evero, all these guys are hanging around, but to get some new position coaches and things like that to ensure that this team is continuing to get better is much, much, much. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I like it.
Speaking of JC Horn, I was scrolling around some Reddit sites and message boards yesterday, and obviously there's been some frustration with the kid just because of the injury history and all that. You're looking at probably having to re-sign, potentially extend him, or make a decision sooner rather than later. Now that we're a couple of years into the career, you've dealt with some injuries. You've also seen the kid, I genuinely believe, play at a Pro Bowl level when he's been able to stay healthy. Is this guy a long-term Panther?
Oh, yeah. You have to. You have to. You got to sign him. We saw what it could be this year. It was healthy for the bulk of the season. Obviously, with a couple garbage games at the end, did not play. But I think that, I think that this is a great thing. J.C. Horn is a great player. We know what he's capable of. I think he needs some help on the opposite side, but for the most part, JC is very solid, and I trust what he can do. He's very, very good, shutting down some of the top guys in the NFC South, so I like it.
NFL announced yesterday, Rashad Beard, that the salary cap would be going up for a second consecutive year. Over the last 2 years, cap going up roughly 53 and some change $million. When you heard that, did anything jump off? Does that change anything? Obviously, it opens up another 20 some odd $1 million worth of cap space for everybody. But, I know in New Orleans, obviously, we got a ton of problems. This is a massive help for us. Where does that impact you guys?
Yeah. I think we kind of anticipated this increase, so it doesn't really change much for us. I think you got to extend some guys that are currently on the roster. We just talked about J.C. Horn. I think he's one of the big names that you got to get done. Outside of that, man, we don't have a lot of guys to re-sign, man. That's the great thing about this offseason. It's going out there and getting external talent to make this roster better. Obviously, T. Higgins is not one of those guys because he just is planning to get franchise tags. So a lot of Panther fans want us to go out there and get a top-tier wide receiver. Don't know if that's gonna happen, but we don't have a ton we need to do from keeping our own guys. Just a matter of, keeping J.C. Horn, maybe Shaq Thompson. Not sure what they're going to do there, but I'm excited. I think it's going to we have some moves we can make to clear up more money. I think right now we're sitting at $24.8 million, and there's a bunch of room to recoup from that. If you go cut some dead weight and redo some restructures, can probably get up to about 50 or so million. So we're in a good spot. We're in a good spot financially. So shout out to the Panthers and shout out to Dan Morgan and Tillis.
I was going to say, and we've had a conversation a couple of times this week about Dan Morgan. I am now convinced of the fact that Dan Morgan told Dave Tepper, I take this job under one condition. It's that you get out of my way and you let me cook. You add that to some pretty beneficial contracts, to some draft opportunities over the past couple of years, and the fact that he's being allowed to run this thing. Buddy, I'm more optimistic about the NFL draft for you guys this year than I have been in a hot minute.
Yeah. I think the draft is going to be very interesting. We got a lot of picks, definitely a lot of opportunity at 8, whether we stay there or trade back. I think we're in a good position. Kind of let the draft come to us and do what we need to do. I think there's going to be a lot of talent left at 8, which I think a lot of people are talking about potentially trading back. I think that's probably the best case scenario, depending on who is there. Obviously, you got a guy that you really, really want, you got to take him. But if you have the opportunity to trade back, let's do that. Let's get some more picks because we need more talent. And the more you can build in the draft, the better off your roster is going to be, because guess what? You can spend more money on other things, right? And you can save money to pay Bryce Young, i.e. what the Eagles have done with their roster, right? The Eagles are drafting very well, but they're also able to pay a lot of guys, but nobody looks at that. You got to look at what their drafts are doing. They're able to play so many rookies that they're able to play a couple of big names, and it all works out. That's how you are able to build a sustainable roster, is drafting well. So we have to knock this draft out the park. A little underwhelming with this current draft. I think there's a lot of potential with the past draft, but a lot of injuries that we dealt with. Those guys have to come back healthier. Again, goes back to the strength and conditioning and training conversation that we just had. Hopefully we can get better there. Those guys develop, and we can stack some draft classes, and I think we'll be just fine.
I agree. I think you brought up the Eagles. I talked about that. I think Rashad Beard, there is an entire philosophy shift coming to the NFL because of the Philadelphia Eagles, right? You went, you got your quarterback, you believed in him, you invested in him, you built around him, you built your offensive and defensive lines through the draft, you built your linebacker core through the draft, you brought in free agents at the skill position spot. Not only do I think that's the philosophy NFL teams are going to adapt, the minute the Super Bowl was over, one of the first thoughts I had, Rashad, was I think Carolina is set up as well as anybody else to just immediately start running with the blueprint. Teams like the Saints, they can't do that right now. They don't have that option. You guys are set up to adopt that philosophy. I think you got a GM who wants to do it. You guys stick the landing on this draft like the Eagles have the last couple of years. I think that upward trajectory we've been talking about is putting a rocket on it.
Yeah, and I 100%. And you look at what the Eagles did. They were able to win a Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts on a rookie deal and outside the rookie deal, right? They got him paid and still were able to get it done. So the blueprint, like you said, is there. Everybody talks about, taking advantage of that Super Bowl window and getting it done when you have your quarterback on a rookie deal. The Eagles did that, but they also extended their window, right? So there's two ways. They won both ways. So I want people to understand that. So it's not the end of the world if we go out there and give Bryce Young his bag. We can still get it done, but it all starts with the draft. You know what I mean? So we got to draft well. It starts and ends there.
Andy Dalton coming back for another couple of years as the backup. Rashad Beard, I think it's great. I think the way that Bryce Young's been talking about him, fantastic. I think you got a guy that's reliable back there, knows the game well. I love everything about the decision to bring him back for 2 years. I really do.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's continuity. A lot of Panthers fans are kind of hating on this. It's weird. Panthers Twitter is a weird place, but
Panthers Twitter is a weird place.
It's a very weird place, but and I try to stay away as much as I can. But obviously, I have a job to do, so I'm on there. But yeah, man, re-signing Andy Dalton is a very good move. It's continuity, right? And the end of his deal aligns with the end of Bryce Young's rookie contract, right? So you're gonna have that veteran backup until Bryce Young becomes a veteran. That just makes sense, right? It just makes sense to keep Andy Dalton around, help him get mentored up, and you need a viable backup. You cannot win in this game without having a viable backup. Just throwing somebody out there off the street is not it. And you got him for, $4 million a year. That's not bad. Like, we got to chill out. This is a good signing. And I think it's going to align, like I said, with the end of Bryce Young's deal. So veteran, the rookie will become the veteran. And then at that point, we can look elsewhere for a backup.
Totally agree. Rashad Beard, host the Panther Nation podcast. Find him on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go find him on YouTube. Make sure you get subscribed. Hit that bell because I know as we get closer to the draft, the boys are going to be cooking.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of content draft. Yeah, combine next week. So we got a lot. A lot's going to be coming.
Appreciate you, big dog. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week, brother.
Appreciate y'all.
Anytime. Rashad Beard, absolute icon, legend of the game. That's it for us. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We appreciate you being here. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Come back tomorrow, 6 till 10 a.m. We do it all over again on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later.
What? Yeah. Sheesh.
So why throw a new cut that I hadn't heard before? And no, I don't remember hearing
Steph, when the guy goes, you guys have trailed in 21 games in the third quarter and you lost all of them.
I'm looking at the clock going, come on. And then I almost hit it, but we finished it. So we're good.
Bro, anybody flipping out over Andy Dalton getting a 2-year contract is silly and should be auto unfollowed. I'm not saying it's not okay to disagree. That's just a silly thing. I will. If I see, why do we sign Andy Dalton to 2 years? Auto unfollow. Hasta luego. All right. Hey, those of you from the PMP Army, appreciate you coming by. We are live every weekday, 6 till 10. We talk a lot of Panthers, talk a lot of Hornets, talk a lot of everything. So put us on your schedule in the AMs before Rashad goes live. Come join us in the mornings. To all of the members of the Armada here in lovely upstate South Carolina. It sucks outside. Please be very careful. Don't hit a tree or something because we need you back here. Got to get those numbers up. Rookie numbers. Got to pump those numbers up. Have a great day. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to get rich and famous. Lonzo and I are broke. We don't want to be. See you tomorrow. Goodbye.